Yo, what's up everybody, what's up? This is MrHardcoreMode here, where nothing is easy. Warriors and witches, how y'all doing? God bless you all. I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. It is Saturday, and it is gonna be my day off from this day to the next. So we got some videos and some streaming to do. I'm excited to listen to this shit. I don't know about you, but I want to listen to this shit. I like this. Okay, good to see you all. Venom, what's up? I was gonna watch this later, but no better way than to watch Mr. H's reaction to the interview. Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. Hey, what's up, Craig? How you doing? How you doing? How's everybody doing? Good to have y'all. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope everybody's good. Should I down the music a little bit? Is it too loud? Veilguard could have been good if they... Nope. 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 Didn't have a good team. Nope. They had poor leadership and horrible team. Nope. That's the end of that. Good to have you guys. We are gonna do this reaction. It's gonna be like an hour, but it's gonna be extra because I got a lot to say about this shit. Because Darrah, I strongly believe, is one of the most just, what's the word I'm looking for Darrah? First of all, he's washed up. I mean, he's pretty much done with the whole thing. He's not actually hired there. He's just doing it. He's just there part-time. He's not really any sort of leader right there, right in Bioware right now. What can I say about this guy? He's washed up and he lies, and then he just complains that it's EA's fault. No, and he's probably gonna complain that it's EA's fault again. What do you want me to do? If he complains in this video, that everything that happened with Veilguard is EA's fault, I'm gonna get angry, okay? I'm gonna get angry, okay? I'm gonna do like I did when I did the review of Veilguard, okay? I'm excited to do this. That's what I'm saying. It could have been good if it was a different game entirely. Yeah, it could have been Dreadwolf. You remember that art book that we saw where the first half was so fucking interesting and good, and then the second part of the art book was like, get that shit out of here. I was like, bro, there was literally at least 2 or 3 romances where I was like, holy shit, I would romance both of these bitches. And they said, we need to get these hot, attractive white women out of here. And I'm like, whatever. It was bullshit. Good to have you all. Just making sure everybody's here. Making sure everybody is here. We will start this in just a minute. Okay, I think I'll have you guys join me for this one. And I think I'll be at the bottom this time. Yeah, since they're gonna be right there. I'm gonna be right there, a little bit bigger. Okay. Am I too small? Am I too small? Okay. All right. How's everybody doing, by the way? Everybody good? Everybody's doing all right? This is gonna be a long one. By the way, we're gonna have 2 streams today. We're gonna do this thing. I wanted to do this whole thing with you guys because I just couldn't do it without you guys. I was thinking to myself, no, I can't record this and then just send it out. I should just do this with you guys so we can all say something. We all have a part to play on this thing. So, yeah. Doing well, ready for this stream? Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Okay. Bioware devs are so out of touch, they don't realize what RPG game enjoyers want. Lucky for them, I know what I want, but I also know Bioware does not want my feedback because they don't like selling games. By the way, speaking of not caring about their own gamers, they actually don't care about their own developers as well. You remember when certain veterans in Bioware that got laid off, or no, they got fired, and they didn't pay them their severance pack? Yeah, they said, yeah, we're just not gonna give you the severance pack. Yeah, you can miss me with that bullshit. You can miss me with that bullshit. You fired them and said, oh yeah, you're not gonna get your severance pack? Fuck off. I still remember that shit. Every time when somebody says, well, Bioware could have been, no, they're done. They're cooked. Okay, let's do this. Hey everybody, this is Mr. Hardcore Mode, where nothing is easy. Here to bring you another hard rant into, well, Matty Plays is doing an interview with Mark Darrah. And it says, Bioware bombshell, Veilguard's Hunt a Hidden Truth and Lost Origins remaster. Mark Darrah opens up. This nigga already opened up. So whatever he says, I swear to you, if he just blames everything on EA, I'm gonna get mad. The sole responsibility is on Bioware. You can say like 10% is EA, but it's mostly they lack leadership in Bioware. So, let's go ahead and watch this video.
It is Matty here today, and I am being joined by an absolute legend in the gaming space. If you've tracked any of my Bioware coverage in the past, you know I've talked about this man quite a bit. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him once before over on Defining Duke. We're sitting down here for a one-on-one chat, talking about Bioware, the state it's in now, also the history, the tremendous history you have there, talking about games industry economy, tips for new game developers. I'm joined by none other than Mark Darrah. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
We could get, I think a lot of developers, let's be honest, a lot of developers can get a lot of tips from Mark Darrah. Just be like, hey, Mark Darrah, what would you do? Well, I would do this. Okay, so I won't do that so I can succeed. Got it. Thank you, Mark.
I'm doing well, yeah.
Awesome. Great to have you here, man. Just a lot to go over here today. First, I want to just check in on with your history, because to prepare for these interviews, I like to go through everyone's entire, Moby games and just see like how many things you've executive produced, directed, programmed. You have a lot of time spent on all these different games. So I'm just curious if you have a favorite game, what that would be and why it would be that one.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we're all gamers. Fine. This is not the question that I need right now, but fine.
Do you mean a favorite game that I worked on, or just
Well, actually that'd be fun too, just to hear what your favorite game in general is.
No, wait. We just favorite game that you like to play. Didn't he say that? He just said your favorite game.
Spent on all these different games. So I'm just curious if you have a favorite game, what that would be. And why it would be that one.
Yeah, I'm over here just like, bro, it's just like, what favorite game lately have you been playing that you enjoy or something like that? Like, we're just talking about playing video games. And Mark Darrah's over here like, oh, what did I work on? And I'm like, bro, this guy can't relax for 1 second.
Do you mean a favorite game that I worked on? Or
he did not say that.
Well, actually, that'd be fun too, just to hear what your favorite game in general is.
Sure.
Yeah, a favorite game you worked on too.
Yeah, so I usually answer that question this way. I think the game that I'm most proud of.
That wasn't even the question, but all right.
Inquisition. It is the one where we set out with a pretty clear vision, and we executed pretty well to what we were trying to do. In terms of the project I was most proud of, in a lot of ways, I would say that's probably Dragon Age 2. Not because it's the best game I've ever done, but because it was done under such tight constraints. And
sure.
and I'm really proud of what we were able to do in the time we had. My favorite team was the Sonic Chronicles team. I just have a love affair with the smaller team size, that the ability to have a team that you know everyone on.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a talking point, I think, later, just with how the industry's grown so much, huge teams. That's really interesting. Just on the note of Dragon Age 2, that's a game that I feel I didn't appreciate nearly as much as I felt I should have at launch, but until you really started to share that story of the conditions you and your team worked under to get that game out the door, that like understanding what you had to go through to get...
No, Matt. No. You are a gamer. They serve you. They serve your needs. Do you think after I go to like a restaurant and I have my food and the food is good, that I'm going to... I was like, you know, I appreciate the... I appreciate the service, but I'm not going to be like, yo, the food tastes better because you did your job? It's like, dude, you're just a gamer. If the game was good or bad, just say it. Don't do, oh shit, the game sucked, but since I heard the story of how you guys, the game was mediocre, but after figuring out how you guys, you know, did the whole Dragon Age 2 game, I think the game is much better. And I'm like, what the fuck? That doesn't add anything. Perfect example, Expedition 33. I think it's amazing that it's a small team that worked on it. That does that's a little bit understandable because it gives people a perspective to be like, oh, you don't need a big team to make a good game. But that's it. That's it. It's back to video game time. You see what I'm saying? It's back to video game time. This is not some, oh, well, what did the developers, you know, what did they believe? What are their values? It's like, how is their team structure? What do they do? Do they do Pilates? Do they go to the gym? Are some of them Muslim? I don't give a shit about any of that shit. A lot of people like to do this whole thing where like, well, I know multiple names of the Bioware dev team and multiple names of different developers, and I'm like, nigga, I either don't know or know the developers, and at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter, because if the game is not good, it's not good. That's it. I'm not gonna do this whole circle jerk where I'm gonna be like, oh shit, well I know all the actors and actresses, and if you don't like this game, then you don't like my friend's game. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that game with you. If the game sucks, it sucks. I'm not gonna do that with you. Bro, I got too much shit in my life. I'm not gonna go and be like, well, even though Veilguard sucked, I can understand that the team was working hard. I can understand the whole development team. I know this person, this person, this person. I think this person was working on, you know, how to design some of the buildings, and I know what they went through, and I think one of their dogs died. Fuck off with that shit.
Get it out. Really increased my appreciation of what it was doing, because at first it felt like the outcast, but then it fits in just right, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Just say it could have been better. You could have just said, oh, Dragon Age 2 was good, but it could have been better. That's it. You don't have to go like, you don't have to do this circle jerk shit where you're just like, oh, well, since I know that I figured out the team and their plight and how they had to, you know, do things in tight constraints. Let's continue the video. We'll be here all day.
I think that a lot of the problem with Dragon Age 2's reception at launch is we didn't adequately prepare people for the change. So I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like it's been able to repair its reputation over time, is when people come and look at it 5, 10, what are we now, 14 years later, they're able to say, okay, I'm going to look at it with fresh eyes and let it stand on its own. And I think it's just when you came up and we called it Dragon Age 2 and we said, you know, compare this directly to Dragon Age Origins, And then people look at it and are like, well, this sure isn't Dragon Age Origins 2, which it isn't. But we didn't do a good job of preparing people for that fact.
He's right. He's right. At that time when Dragon Age 2 came out, we were ready for Dragon Age Origins 2. We got an okay game, but it was easily forgettable. Well, I wouldn't say forgettable. It was easily like, perfect example of what Dragon Age Origins is to Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age Origins is the main course meal. Dragon Age 2 is the little dessert. Dragon Age 2 is a dessert. But you gotta have the rest of the meal. Dragon Age Origins gave you a full course meal. You had a full course meal with Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age 2 was like a good dessert, but I need a drink. I need the main course meal. What are we having? You got any vegetables? That's basically it. I'll agree with him on that one.
Yeah, I understand that. But
and it wasn't a CRPG. Mark Aquino said that. Yeah, it wasn't too much of a... It wasn't deep RPG elements like it was with Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Origins had more of a CRPG element, kind of like Baldur's Gate. Kind of like... I could say that Dragon Age Inquisition was a CRPG, but it was more action adventure. Yes. Yeah, they were really trying to peel away. They really were trying to be Mass Effect real hard. Like, they really wanted to be Mass Effect with Dragon Age. And I'm over here like, whoa, sir. What are you doing? Let's stick to the formula. But they really wanted to ease in to like a faster pace, you know, everything starts to become easier, that sort of thing.
It's interesting how Dragon Age as a franchise has evolved, where a lot of its lack of identity, in some sense, beyond just being a fantasy role-playing series, kind of became its identity. Because each one, you know, you had Origins to Inquisition, all...
Bullshit. What they were trying to do was trying to be cool. All they were trying to do was cater to a bigger audience to get more sales. That's it. I don't want to hear anybody say like each one had a different theme and that's how that's our niche. No, they changed them each time to cater to a greater audience. For example, is Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3, any of those games, any of the gameplay, have they drastically changed? Not by much. But how come Dragon Age has? Oh, that's right. Because they see Dragon Age Origins and they're like, well, maybe we need to talk to EA and maybe we need to reach a broader audience. No, that was it. That was it. That Dragon Age 2 was faster paced, and then Dragon Age 3 was like, oh shit, well, there's, I think, was in Dragon Age Inquisition, could you miss your shots? Like an AC? Like, was there an AC, or was there a dice roll anymore? No, there were no more dice rolls in Dragon Age Inquisition. They got rid of the dice rolls. Perfect example that they simplified Dragon Age to reach a broader audience is because there were actual health potions, different types of health potions, and different kind of concoctions. And then later on, they were just like, potion, health. That's it. I think there was so much simplification with the design of the gameplay that they were like, does the broader audience like this now? And I'm like, and then Baldur's Gate 3 comes out and then it becomes Game of the Year. And then they realize, oh shit, we didn't even need to do that shit. That's all it is. They wanted to reach more sales.
doing similar but yet very different things. Was that ever always the plan? Or
Mass Effect 2, they removed armor system. That's small, but yes, that does suck.
do you guys just kind of start, because you talk about how happy you were with Inquisition, you obviously were at the top with Dragon Age 2. Is that always the plan with each of these games, or they just kind of, when you gave birth to them, they just became their own thing?
Dragon Age Origins originally was intended as a standalone game. It actually, you can see this, if you play Dragon Age Origins, knowing that it was intended to stand alone, you can kind of see that in Dragon Age Origins. There's a lot of threads that are cast out that kind of had to be abandoned because, you know, there could be werewolves all over the world. There might be a civil war in the happening in underground in Orzammar. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that's just like was great to put out in a game that you never had to come back to. But then when we did come back to it, you had to sort of recover from that.
What the fuck is he saying? What the fuck is he saying? What up, Shamer? You might get mad at this. Actually, Shamer, let's go back. You're gonna get mad at this. You're gonna get mad at this.
That in Dragon Age Origins,
and they just became their own thing.
Dragon Age Origins originally was intended as a standalone game. It actually, you can see this if you play Dragon Age Origins, knowing that it was intended to stand alone, you can kind of see that in Dragon Age Origins. There's a lot of threads that are cast out that kind of had to be abandoned because, you know, there could be werewolves all over the world. There might be a civil war in the happening in underground in Orzammar. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that's just like was great to put out in a game that you never had to come back to. But then when we did come back to it, you had to sort of recover from that.
Fucking bullshit. I don't know what I'm angry at. I'm over here just like, first of all, standalone? Bullshit. I think you're lying. And second of all, you guys couldn't stop being lazy for 2 seconds. Forgotten threads, yes. Forgotten thread. Oh, I was like, oh shit. Assassin's Creed Origins, a lot of stuff we couldn't bring over to the second or third game. And I'm over here thinking to myself, yes, you fucking can. If you work at it. Hello? What are we doing? So, in your laziness of the team, you guys decided to throw out very interesting lore. This is what I mean, man. This is what I mean. They had a great, and this is why everybody goes back to Dragon Age Origins every single time. Because they find that lore the deepest, and the narration the most interesting. And you couldn't go lockstep with the next game? How come Mass Effect could go from the first one to the second one to the third one? How come Neverwinter Nights could go from the first one to the second one to is there a Neverwinter Nights 2, 3? I don't think so. I think there's an MMO. But basically what I'm saying is to be honest, Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2 are not too much of a connection between the two, but it existed in that world and they didn't take away from those two games. Neverwinter Nights had lore. Neverwinter Nights 2 had lore and they didn't take away from it. KOTOR 1 and 2 both had lore and they didn't take away from it, saying, oh, well, this is KOTOR 1 and in KOTOR 2, well, we should take away some Star Wars stuff. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. Either you guys were too lazy to go lockstep and connect it to the other games, or you guys were either lazy, or what was the other one? Either you really wanted to stick to the, you know, basically, see, this is funny, because when you take away lore, but you add something else, because this is what happens. You take away really interesting things in the mythos and the lore and the stuff that people really like, and then you go to the next game, and then you notice that the narration is a little bit tweaked. And then in the next game, the narration is okay, but it's also tweaked. You see what I'm saying? Where things start to be simplified, and simplified. And I'm over here thinking to myself, well, what did you focus on with the other games? Oh, that's right. You really focused on those companions and those romances, didn't you? You doubled down on you noticed that, oh shit, we're getting a lot of people playing the game because there's hot characters or interesting characters. I mean, that's a cool thing, but you can't take away from Origins and then go to the next game and then just be like, well, we had to take away certain stuff because, you know, we don't have time, or we don't want to, you know, it's like things are getting confusing now. And I'm like, nigga, things aren't getting confusing. You are making it confusing with the lore.
The problem that Dragon Age has had, charitably, I guess, would be to say that EA wants mainstream success, and it's hard.
There it is. There it is. There it is. A little bit bigger. There it is right there. There it is. Dumbing down. Thank you, Marco. You guys in chat are fucking locking it down. Exactly. Exactly. And here's the funny thing is, it is not EA's fault. All you had to do, chat, when you do a contract or when you sign up to be with a certain publisher, you have to read that fucking contract. You have to edit that fucking contract. You have to be ready for the first year of that contract, the 5th year, the 15th year for that contract, and realize, oh shit, Bioware is my fucking baby. This is my baby. Bioware is. You want to link up with them? Fine. But you have to edit. You have to talk. You have to be a leader and say, hey, we're not dumbing down things. We do things a certain way. If you don't like it, I guess we're not signing up. It's like, well, we don't want to change. Well, we're not going to give you guys, you know, great funding if you don't like our contract. And then if I was a Bioware CEO, and be like, oh, okay, then, well, you have a good day, sir. Give them a handshake and then just leave. You have a good day, sir. But since you linked up with them and said, oh shit, we got funding now, we can make bigger games or something. And I'm over here like, bro, you have to have conversations. You have to make deals. You have to talk. Small story. I was working at a job. And at this job, it had many, many things that were problems for that job. Nobody wanted to talk about them because they didn't want to be bothered. They were just like, oh, it's just another day because the job sucks. That's just how jobs are. One day, I just got fucking angry with the CEO. It's like, and then we started yelling at each other, and then people started to hear the conversation like all through the fucking area, and then like as soon as the shouting match, and I know I fucking won that shouting match because he was being a little fucking bitch, and I was like, bro, why are you making things harder for everyone? And then after that conversation, I got calls from people I don't even fucking know, even people that I worked with, that were saying, bro, good job, thank you. Somebody had to say something. And that's what I'm talking about right here. You have to say something. If you signed up with EA knowing very well that you couldn't change anything, then why the fuck are you in this predicament? Oh, it's because of it's your own fault. Me? Chad, I used to hate accountability. Now me and accountability are my best friend now. because my dad raised me well. I don't know.
Or at least it has historically been hard for corporate people who come from the sports side of the organization to look at a game like Dragon Age Origins, which is super nerdy, not very attractive looking, and say, oh, this is a mainstream.
Yeah, but EA signed up with listen, the only reason, let me tell you something. EA doesn't even give a fuck about sports either. They only care about money. The only reason that they care about sports so much is because everybody else cares about sports. You get me? And that means money. That's it. That's it. So they don't like either one of you. All they're looking for is the big fish. And the big fish is FIFA, Madden, all that other stuff over there. So what you have to do is, when you're in this Bioware nerdy team, the only thing you need to do, because you know EA, they don't care about sports, they don't care about nerdy shit. Hell, I bet the CEO would kill his own mother just to get $5. What you need to do is make your team, your passion projects, valuable. And what that means is, first of all, don't think that, oh shit, we need to make a Battle Royale Dragon Age game. No. What I'm saying is, you have to come up front and be like, alright guys, let's do this. Let's work our ass off. Let's give them the best narration, best gameplay of a CRPG that they've ever seen. You know, let's do that. And then they did that, and and just like EA said with Madden and FIFA, when the game came out and it thrived, it made cash money, they said the same thing to the Madden devs or to the FIFA devs. They said, make more of that. Now, we can have this conversation about like, well, they gave Dragon Age 2 a smaller time window. I'm gonna tell you right now, Mark Darrah, Mike Laidlaw, Casey Hudson, some of them are good leaders, but I'm gonna say, you guys fucked up. You guys fucked up big time because you didn't read the rules. You didn't know who you fucking signed up for. And if you did sign up for them, edit that shit and set some ground rules for EA and be like, hey, it's like, hey, can you make Dragon Age in less than 2 years or some shit like that? And then they're gonna be like, nah, we don't really do the whole 2-year making a video game thing. What we like to do is, when the game is ready, it's ready. Well, you can't do that. Buddy. Buddy, it's in the fucking contract. We said when it's ready, when it's in full development, people like Dragon Age Origins, right? You want Dragon Age 2 to be successful, right? Give us some time to make Dragon Age 2. We wanted to make another Dragon Age, and then we'll do everybody right. And then they'll be like, ah, shit, well, it is in the contract. If we fuck up the contract, we can get sued or some shit. Done.
Dream game. Yeah. They don't see it. They look at Mass Effect, they can see it. So there's just been a lot of...
With Mass Effect, it's the same thing. They do not care about Mass Effect. They just care about how many people will play Mass Effect. That is the only thing. They're not looking at the spaceships and being like, oh shit, that's so cool. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh, and you got aliens? What did you say before? They think of you as nerds. And that's it. All that Mass Effect stuff is also nerdy. They don't give a fuck about Mass Effect and what's in the game. All they care about is like, this might make money. Period. Maybe some people in EA like it, like some lower level, like, you know, developers or, you know, lower level, you know, employees might actually really like the games. But the bigwigs in EA, you need to focus on them. You need to stop looking at the lower people in EA and thinking, oh shit, you also like video games too? Stop talking to those niggas and always think about what exactly EA is. Stop talking to those little EA people that are just like, huh, man, we like video games in EA. And then you should be, as a Bioware dev, and be like, do you, nigga? Nigga, do you like Mass Effect? Oh yeah, we really like Mass Effect and Dragon Age over here in EA, ha ha ha. And you could be like, okay, alright, what are the 5 tenets of the Andraste, you know, of the maker? The 5 tenets of the maker and that religion is, yeah, nigga, I lied. There ain't no tenets. Nigga, I just lied to you. Okay, you don't know, you don't give a fuck. Okay, I just lied. They don't care. EA don't care about that shit.
Difficulty with them. There's always been a...
We're only 5 minutes into this shit. We're only 5 minutes in.
Push for it to be more mainstream, more accessible.
See?
And
why did they want to make that multiplayer game for Dragon Age and Mass Effect? See what I mean?
So it's always had this either pressure to be something different, or in the case of something like Inquisition, a reaction to that. It's like, we got way out over our skis in Dragon Age 2. We got to pull back to something that's a little bit closer to us.
And they did do that. They pulled back a little bit with Dragon Age Inquisition. I do admire them for that, but we do miss Origins.
Traditional CRPG. So it's been kind of wobbling back and forth a lot, trying to reach out and then pulling back when it's gotten ahead of itself.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about EA in just a moment here. I actually want to go back to what you mentioned about Origins. I didn't know that about the game, that it was intended to be a standalone.
He's bullshitting. I like how Matty Plays came back to that, like, what did you say, nigga? He's like, oh, that was a standalone? Listen. With the whole I've already said this, but with the standalone Dragon Age Origins, it was only supposed to be a standalone. Listen. Obviously, it would make sense that story for Dragon Age Origins is for Dragon Age Origins. But if you're gonna do a second one, just like Neverwinter Nights and KOTOR, okay? You're in that whole world and you're getting the whole pie. In the next one, you get the whole world and then the whole pie. With Dragon Age Origins, you're supposed to get the whole world in the next one and the whole pie, okay? Nobody wants a piece. They want the whole thing. However, when he said the Dragon Age Origins is like, we had to take some stuff out because some of it didn't make any sense, you could fuck right off with that shit, where you take the lore away from the other 2 games. So you fuck off with that.
I gotta get my Bioware fan card revoked at this point, because I did.
No, nigga, nobody knew. Nobody knew. Well, some of us probably did know, so those hardcore nerd lores out there, but hearing it, you're not gonna get that shit revoked, because nobody thought, oh shit, the developers took away certain interesting, important lore bits from the first game, and took it away for the second and third game. No, it's like playing Gears of War 2, and then they say, yeah, we took out the locusts. Yeah, it was a little too complicated. It made sense in the first game, but in Gears of War 2, we took out the locusts. You know what I mean? Maybe not that massive. Maybe something like smaller, like some enemy types in Gears of War, but something like that. Nobody wants that, by the way.
I did not know that.
I don't know that it's something that we've really ever talked about.
Okay. So yeah, my question on that is then what made you guys want to keep going forward with it, right? Because EA published Origins, and maybe this was a different EA back then, but they published this nerdy RPG that many of us adore, and you guys decided to carry it forward. Was it just like simple business, like, hey, this did really well, let's do more?
Yeah,
of this?
it's pretty much that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty much financial reasons more than anything, and I think that the franchise has been much more forward-looking ever since then.
Sure.
But yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into some of these other. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I provided Mark a bunch of actually planned questions and then just hit you with like none that I prepared you for. So I appreciate you playing ball with me here. The one I really wanted to get into is, as someone who's covered Bioware for a while, there's been just a lot of reports that fly in and out of the studio, just given the recent development cycles between like Andromeda, Anthem, Veilguard, and Jason Schreier of Bloomberg did publish a piece about Veilguard's development cycle, and he did mention how I found this to be kind of the real shocker in the mix of the story, is that there was a feeling within some of the Bioware team that there was priority from EA for the Mass Effect team versus the Dragon Age team. And as someone who's been there really since the start, since the glow up, right, where Baldur's Gate 2, 1998, right? So did you feel like, as someone who's really been a strong part of the Dragon Age franchise, did you feel like that was reflected in your time on the team?
I definitely felt like Dragon Age was having a lot of difficulty getting the resources that it needed to move forward after Inquisition. Some of that is EA doesn't like spending money, and so I think one of the things that's different about Bioware compared to most of the other studios within EA's umbrella is we tried to do multiple things at the same time. And so even if you look at like DICE, basically they're just doing one thing at a time, and sometimes that does really well, and sometimes it doesn't do so well. But that umbrella of people is the size that it is, and they can push it to make it bigger very slowly. But when you're doing 2, 3, 5 things at a time, if you want to do multiple things at the same time, you need to be big. And what was happening was a lot of cannibalization. I think one of the reasons that Casey probably left in 2014 was because he was leading Anthem. Dragon Age was taking up all of the people, and then the thing that was coming next was Andromeda, and he could see the writing on the wall that he was going to not get any people either. So was Mass Effect getting... Did EA like Mass Effect better than Dragon Age? I think they did. Was that... Yeah,
probably, because there was... with Mass Effect it made sense, because Mass Effect always stuck with that same theme. And with Dragon Age, listen, okay, we're gonna say it, because this is what they did. This is what they did. Mass Effect was more of a boys sort of type of game, and Dragon Age slowly turned into a game for girls. It just did. You can call me for what it is. Even though I like Dragon Age, I think the biggest dude bro moment with Dragon Age was probably Origins, and then Dragon Age 2 came out, and then Dragon Age 3. And then the games started to feel more, and the games for Dragon Age started to feel more and more, oh, let's make funny millennial jokes here and there. I mean, those two games are great, but there are moments where they wanted to write themselves not too much as a dark fantasy, but more of a sort of romance novel. Like, perfect example, Cassandra reading romance books. I'm just like, okay, that's fine and all, Cassandra reading romance books, but can we stop being goofy? Perfect example, Sarah. You remember Sarah in fucking Inquisition? The fucking short, bald-headed, ugly-ass bitch that doesn't know how to speak? I was like, this is a game for fucking women. This is a game for women now. It's like, we got all these characters like, oh yeah, who would you have sex with? Yeah, I would like to have sex with the Canary lady. And I'm like, this is gonna be a game for girls if they don't slow the fuck down. Like, that true, which is why DA adopted the dialogue wheel and faster combat. Yeah, like they did they were simplifying Dragon Age way too hard. They were dumbing down Dragon Age way too hard. And even though all three of those Dragon Age games were great, you could quickly see and be like, all right, guys, how come in Mass Effect it stayed like dude bros awesome with Mass Effect 1, 2, all the way up to 3? You could say what you want about the ending of Mass Effect 3, it was still a good game. But each and every one of those Mass Effect games, besides Andromeda was the perfect example of them going back to that millennial writing sort of like, ooh, let's be quirky and cute, and you know, this is they were trying to be a girl game yet again. Also, the combat was good, but yeah. DA was just turned into fantasy ME when it couldn't remain its own thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you have to realize, I don't know why developers do this, but if you're going to continue, like, for example, Witcher is a perfect example. Witcher knew what the fuck it was. Witcher knew what the fuck it was with Witcher 1, 2, and then 3. They knew each and every way. This is a dark fantasy. It can get ugly. It can get very dark and brutal. You can have some funny moments. You could get some very beautiful moments. But at the end of the day, you're not the fucking hero. You could be a hero here and there. I think in Witcher 3, you were more of a hero. But the other two games, you're dealing with your own problems pretty much. But they stuck to that formula. What if Witcher out of nowhere did like a Dragon Age 3 or a Dragon Age Veilguard dialogue? Everybody would see that and walk ways away. The women would, and the men would. The women might even more. But that's the thing. Anyway, continue.
Was that the cause of Dragon Age not getting the people that it needed?
Perfect example. This is why Battlefield 6 is back. Because they see how Call of Duty looks right now with Nicki Minaj fucking skins and Beavis and Butthead skins. They understood. Like, say it for what it is. EA is smart in some respects. Are they stingy with their money? Yes. Are they smart? Yes.
That I'm not as certain about. I think that might just be the structure of Bioware and the fiscal conservatism of EA not quite meshing together properly. Conservatism, structure of Bioware and the fiscal conservatism of EA not quite meshing together properly.
And see, this is what I'm trying to say, dude. If you guys took yourself seriously when you made a deal to be lined up with EA, you should know who the fuck you're working for. They're gonna come up to you with a smile and be like, hey, I've seen your games. Really good stuff. Really, really cool games. Nigga, he just lied to you. He ain't even played your fucking games. Okay? You have to realize the situation. And you also have to realize, if you're gonna sign yourself up with EA, you have to realize the core of what BioWare is. Also, some of the stuff that you fucked up with in BioWare games or with Dragon Age games, it's all on you, okay? Some of the writing, some of the characters in Dragon Age, like for example, Dragon Age 2, why the fuck did you put that big-nosed red-haired bitch in the fucking game? You even did that in Mass Effect. You know what I mean? Nepotism. Like Felicia Day. Why the fuck did you put that big-nosed bitch in that fucking game? Everybody knows who the fuck she is. I'm like, that nepotism, man. You're actually spending more money putting people where you're like, oh, I know that voice actress. Oh, I know that person. Let me put you in the game. More money, bitch. EA didn't tell you to do that. You did. Okay? So when you have these cute moments in your game, like for example, if I made a game, I might do that once in a game. I'll put one person that I actually enjoy, seeing, and I'll make them voice act one character. And then that's it. I have to realize, oh, we can play around and somebody's like, ooh, is that character in MrHardcoreMode's game? Was that Co-Carnage? Oh, cool. And then you have to move along and go back to being the video game that you are, instead of being kooky and quirky and so liberal all the fucking time, and again, Sarah's a mistake. I'm sorry, Sarah's a mistake. I don't know why you put Sarah in there. Sarah's a mistake. I'm sorry. This fucking big ass forehead and shit.
But we reported into part of the sports organization, which is hilarious.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of hilarious.
And at one point, so I'm like that red book that's behind me there. Where is it? Right there. That was a book that was made to basically send within the EA organization to say, Dragon Age is a thing. Don't forget about us. We're trying to get people. Please let us hire people. Let us get people.
Wow.
And in early 2017, I talked to the person who, the studio reported into. He was amazed I hadn't quit a year earlier.
You remember when I said that Mark Darrah this is why they called in this is why Mark Darrah cannot lead, is because of that, is because they've been using and abusing all of Bioware, including Mark, but just Mark is a fucking masochist, where he just is like, whatever EA says he'll do, whatever EA says he'll do. Like the whole thing with the Veilguard thing, how he shows up out of nowhere acting like he's working with everybody. Like, that's the perfect example right there. Like, there's just like, yo, we've been working you like a slave, boy. You still here? God damn, you took my dick good. You took my dick good and you're still here? You're still here? You're a crazy motherfucker. Can you make Veilguard 2? Just wondering. Man! But like I said, man, you have to realize that your Bioware team has to have a certain level of respect. You have to have a core of value with your team. Larian has this. Kojima Production has this. Even Capcom has this. Like, each and every set of developers has a core standing where they're just like some of these developers, like for example Square Enix. Right now Square Enix, just like Bioware, is having an identity crisis. You need to go back and realize who the fuck you are before you sign up with EA. You need to figure that out. And a lot of these guys, I'm just like, bro, you need leadership. You need strong leadership. But your whole team is filled with yes men. You need somebody to say, this ain't gonna cut it, bro. We need to go back to that contract. Yeah, we need to re-edit that shit.
Because we weren't getting the people.
So it was a real uphill battle. I know something you've talked about. By the way, I should shout it out. You have a phenomenal YouTube channel, Darrah on Games. People should check it out. And over there, you talked about how Bioware over time had just kind of slimmed their project focus. Do you think that's for the better then, given your struggle with gathering resources, or do you think there was another answer during your time there?
I do think that. So I've thought about this a lot, and I think within EA, you're better off being one game at a time. when people think like, why, this is going to be highly simplified.
He's right.
When people think, okay, Battlefield 4 shipped, and it was really rocky at launch, and DICE spent the time and the resources necessary to fix that game up. Sims 4 launched and had a really rocky launch. Same thing. The studio spent the time to fix it up and make it great. Those two studios had nothing else. If Battlefield 4 wasn't working, you basically had to shut the studio down. If Sims 4 wasn't working, you basically had to shut Maxis down. With Bioware, if Andromeda isn't working, there are 2 other projects desperate for those people. So I think EA does not like failure. And
I don't know, man. EA has been very nice. Even though they laid off and fired a lot of people, they kept you. They didn't shut you the fuck down. But for some odd reason, bro, they kept your asses. Andromeda, flop. Anthem, flop. Veilguard, flop. And they're still holding on to you? Some part of you has to be like, bruh, they're actually kind of being nice. Okay? I mean, you can say like there's a different group of people in Bioware because they fired so many, but the fact that they didn't shut down Bioware means that they know that there's value in Bioware, and you guys need to realize what that value is. This is why I keep going back to the leadership thing, because you need to talk to them and say, we make CRPGs with heavy gameplay, tactical gameplay, with a heavy narrative. Can you make a multiplayer? No. Don't know how to do that. I only know how to count up to 1. Well, can you make a Battlefield game? No, I'll leave that to DICE. Well, can you make sorry, sir, we only know how to make 1-player games. You already seen our track record. Let's work on that. And then they'd be like, you actually kind of make sense though. But none of you are doing that. So many of you over there in fucking Canada like to take it up their ass.
And is eager to move on.
That's why the guy was wondering why you haven't quit.
From failure. But if there's nothing else, the studio is saying, no, we can fix this. But if the studio isn't saying that, it's not that Dragon Age and Anthem were just desperate to chew up all of the Andromeda people after Andromeda had trouble at launch, but they also weren't actively saying, if you don't let us do this, we're gonna have to fire 150 people.
Yeah, of course they wouldn't do that. Why would they say that straight out the bat? Of course they wouldn't say that. If he's like, hey guys, I hope your game comes out great. I really hope the game comes out great. Why do you have to say it twice? I'm just saying. I just hope the game succeeds. That's it. They can't just come up out of nowhere, bust the door open, and be like, say, hey, you guys, I'll let all of you guys go. I'll fire each and every one of you. They can't really do that. There are certain codes. I'm not sure how they are over where you live, but there are certain ethics that you have to go through when it comes to business, where you can't just go around just telling people, oh, you better do this or you're fired. Oh, you better do this or you're fired. There's certain ethics. You can get in trouble for that.
They were saying, well, we got jobs for them. Highly simplified.
Yeah.
But I do think that, given that, I think that, yeah, within EA, Bioware is better off being one game at a time, 100% of their talent focused on doing one game at a time.
Should have known that.
No rivalries between the different projects. No fighting over resources. It's just like we're all in on.
How come you just mentioned EA is really stingy with their money, and then I don't know if EA asked you to do this or if it was within Bioware somehow you guys said, hey, EA is stingy with their money, so let's make 3 games at a time. And I'm like, what? What? You just said EA's stingy with their money. What the fuck are you doing right now? Yeah, I know. We're gonna split our team up into 3s. You know, we got all this shit that we also got to work on DLCs for Inquisition. It's like, you just told us that they were stingy with their money. What are we doing?
One thing, maybe there's a back burner tiny thing, but not 2 or 3 or 4 entire project lines in open warfare over resources.
Okay, interesting. So, as someone who's been there since the start, and you've seen, you know, you've been there when you're a 3-project team, then a 2-project team, then I guess, and this is just your opinion as someone who's worked there and you don't work there anymore, but is this something where you think this is going to be better for the team? Like, a lot of people look forward, like, as the next Mass Effect, and it's like, is your expectation like this should be?
I don't know the identity of the dev team right now. I don't know who you guys are anymore. I honestly don't know who the hell you guys are. I don't know the identity of you guys anymore. So if they make 1 game at a time, okay, that's great. We don't know who the fuck you guys are right now. All we got is this little teaser video of Mass Effect 5.
Less messy, maybe, compared to prior development cycles. Obviously not casting this on them one way or the other, but just from your experience in the outside looking in.
I do think this is less messy. I do think that also, to be frank, the Mass Effect team is going to be able to point to the Veilguard and say, we should steer away from some of these things.
We should steer away from all of it. All of it. We listen, point at Veilguard and say, look at the pretty flowers, Veilguard. And Veilguard goes, so I'm non-binary. And blah, right in the back of the head. And never go straight back to basics, baby.
Because look what happened.
Yeah, look what happened. I swear if you mention, oh, well, the gameplay wasn't, say what it is. Say, yeah, everything was a messy, but I mean, he's not gonna say it.
So I do think, and I would honestly encourage that team to scapegoat Veilguard as much as they need to get what they need from the organization.
All the way through. Don't even scapegoat. Take a machine gun and let old Yeller out, okay? Just be like, it's like, so what happened? So when Mass Effect comes out and people say like, well, this game is different than this is way different from Veilguard, and then I want the development team of Bioware to be like, I don't even know what the hell Veilguard is. I want them to be lobotomized and be like, never heard of this game, Bioware. I've never heard of this game, Veilguard. It's like, but you worked on Veilguard, and everybody's like, get him out of here. My brain, like he's been in World War I.
It is
whether it's true or not, just because
whether it's true or not, you thought I was gonna let that slip. It is true. He's like, look.
I do think it's going to be less messy, I think is the best way. Is it?
Okay.
We are in a world, the problem with being single project is you have this sort of boom and bust thing happening where you get really big and then you have to slim down. Now, EA seems to be trying to move to some sort of model where people flow within the overall organization a lot more. So maybe that will be fine. Maybe that'll work out great, but it remains to be seen.
Got it. On that note, then, Inquisition, as you've documented on your Twitter account, best-selling Bioware game of all time, 12+ million copies sold, Game of the Year winner, and yet EA seems inclined to want to make Mass Effect the primary focus for Bioware's future. And I think after Veilguard and just the reception and the conversation, like you mentioned, the scapegoating, it makes a lot of sense. But if there is a future for Dragon Age, what do you think that is? Or is there one really at all?
I'm not sure who pitches that game within EA. That's what it would come down to. There would need to be someone at Bioware, or potentially someone within EA.
No, nobody in EA. It has to be somebody in Bioware. You need to stop doing all these pitches. It's like somebody in EA is like, hey, you should do this. Nigga, you don't work here. Okay? Go do EA stuff. Hey, I gotta pitch an idea. Yeah, that's great. You take that home to your family and you feed that to them, not to us. That's what you gotta do. You gotta work within your means. Even though you are in an alliance with EA, you have to realize something. That the only people that you can trust are within your team. Hopefully. I've been hearing a lot of bad things where you guys have been treating other developers within Bioware like shit. So you know, cannibalizing yourself, that's great. That's cool. Yeah, I guess that's why a lot of those weirdos got fired. Broadly,
that would be willing to go out on a limb and say, I want to pitch another Dragon Age game. Here's my vision of it. I think there are more games to be made there, but
if I worked at Bioware and I pitched another Dragon Age, I'm gonna oh bro. He's like, all right, here's the pitch. Me and the boys over in Bioware, because I'm gonna have to fire every rainbow-haired chick over in Bioware. It's mostly gonna have to be dudes. But basically, I'm gonna be like, listen, we're gonna do Dragon Age, and we're gonna do it right. And then EA is gonna be like, are you gonna do like Veilguard? And I'm gonna put my lip all the way into the back of my brain and be like, fuck Veilguard. Get that shit out of your tongue. We're going back to Origins, baby. We're gonna narrative, gameplay, deep lore bits, deep builds for each character. We're gonna bring back force magic since we want to take shit away. We're gonna bring back werewolves because we want to take that shit away. As a matter of fact, not only do I say fuck Veilguard, Veilguard didn't even happen. And then EA is gonna be like, oh, this is a good idea. The idea is so good that maybe I might suck your dick this time, MrHardcoreMode. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be cool. I got a big vein. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure how it gets started.
Damn, he's saying the hard part out. He's saying the part out loud. I don't think there's gonna be another Dragon Age
right now.
Yeah, it feels like the arc really concluded with Veilguard. So, as a fan, I would say I would like to just see the reset button hit. I think a lot of people would be more open to that rather than a continuation. Would you kind of align with that, or?
No, we don't need to hear about Mark Darrah being aligned with anything, okay? We don't listen. Mark Darrah is washed up, okay? We need to move on to new blood, people that actually do care about Dragon Age, and we need to move forward, and we need to have deep, meaningful, dark RPG. We need to make Witcher blush. If we can make Witcher blush, bro, and each and every one of the companions are either gonna be the rule of cool, or they're gonna be straight up fucking attractive. And that's just how it's gonna be. And if I find Karen, if I find Melinda, if I find Maggie Malenhall saying, well, this is objectification, bye-bye, bitch, boot, right out the door. I'd do it so fast, it would make her head spin. And I pray to God she begs to get her job back. Just to watch.
Or like, where would you ideally take it in a perfect world? If you're able to answer that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not pitching a Dragon Age D.
Origins and Expedition 3 mix? Ooh. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, right now, so yeah, I don't know what I'd want to do, to be honest.
Bro, yeah, see, Mark Darrah is washed up. I got so many ideas for Dragon Age. I'm not gonna name them out because some nigga's gonna come out here and be like, well, that wouldn't make sense. Or somebody's gonna go like, well, I'm gonna take that idea. No, bro, Dragon Age Origins is so massive and so huge that we could do many different things. Somebody in the chat is gonna be like, how about you do something from that Dragon Age Netflix show? Fuck that show. That show was gay.
To go forward with it. I mean, I honestly think they should do, I don't think they will, but I think they should do a remaster of the...
No. I don't want a remaster. I don't want a remake. It is the laziest, bare bones, you know, like, oh, we don't have any fucking idea what to do, so we're gonna give you a remake or remaster. That's what Square Enix is doing because they don't know what the fuck to do right now. I know a studio is suffering when they give me remasters and remakes. Even with Capcom, that's like in between. Even though they're doing really, really well, they've made too many remakes and remasters as well. And then they finally realized, oh shit, we gotta come up with ideas. And that's why they got, you know, the new Resident Evil 9 coming out.
Of the first three. I mean, one of the things that we pitched at one point, pretty softly, so pitch is a massive overstatement, was to kind of retroactively rebrand the first three games as if they were a trilogy. And call it like the
it should have been a it should have been a trilogy anyway. Everybody agrees that it's a fucking trilogy. First of all, it is a fucking trilogy. We all used the Dragon Keep, okay? We used the Dragon Keep. By the way, I appreciate that he didn't mention Veilguard. Good on Mark Darrah. We're starting to learn. We need to realize that it was already a trilogy. We need to, whatever you said, Mark Darrah, where you were just saying like, haha, Dragon Age Origins is a standalone. Fuck out of here with that bullshit, okay? It was not. It was not. You don't, he's like, oh man, it was meant to be a standalone. Well, you didn't try to make it a standalone. What you did was, why did you make the Dragon Keep? You know what I'm saying? Why did you make it? It worked for the ME Legendary Edition. Or EA might do that with Dragon Age. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do it. That's too much work. Too many hands. They're not gonna do it. Interesting idea though, but they're not gonna do it. Yeah, excluding Veilguard.
Champions trilogy, so you have these sort of big, larger-than-life heroes. You've got the hero Ferelden. You've got the like what Kirkwall. What is this? Whatever we call Hawk. And then you've got you've got the Inquisitor.
This nigga's forgetting about his main characters. God damn, bro. God damn, time to hang up the hat.
So I think maybe you do that as a first step, is take those three games, and maybe Veilguard. But
I always thought that the Chantry, that hat right there, was fucking stupid. I still think it's stupid. If I did a remake, that hat would change. People would be like, don't change the hat. We like the hat. And I change it to something better. And then they're like, keep the hat. Keep it.
But you take those three games, you shine them up.
Ugliest fucking character I've ever fucking seen. Who made that?
You re-release them, probably remaster, probably not a remake. See what happens.
Why not remake? Why not? Just remake it. Yeah.
And then maybe go from there. I'm very curious to see, you know, in a weird, twisted way, the Mass Effect franchise and the Dragon Age franchise kind of are in similar states where they have a trilogy of games that are pretty well received, and then a fourth game that's
definitely do a remake of Dragon Age 2 and put things into Dragon Age 2 to where it feels like a whole game, because they had to take things away from, they take away things in multiple games, but they had to take away a lot from Dragon Age 2 because they were hit for time. I would definitely do Dragon Age 2 right and be like, we're making this shit thick. We're making this shit fat. We're still gonna stick to the formula of 2. Certain, you know, certain characters and lines have to remain the same because they are, oh, what's the word? Some of the lines and narratives of Dragon Age 2 like withstand the test of time, so you don't want to tarnish those, but you do need to make Dragon Age 2 bigger, not by size like an open world, but you do need to make it to where it's just like, because Dragon Age 2, that shit will end out of fucking nowhere. You'll be like, oh shit, I'm just gonna play the game. I'm playing the game. I'm playing more of the game. And then out of nowhere, the ending just hits you like a fucking rock. And I'm like, oh, I feel like we skipped a few things, but okay.
That's less well received. And I'll be curious to see what Mass Effect does with Mass 5. Is like how does Andromeda fit in there? Like, what is, I don't know. I mean, I've seen the same stuff you've seen, so I don't know what they're doing.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat, man. On that note of what we call as a community the Dragon Age Legendary Edition, right? Like what you guys basically did for Mass Effect so badly. I was trying to champion on the channel. I was like, you got to do it for Dragon Age. So it's very interesting to hear that you guys, I mean, you said soft pitch, so like, I don't want to carry it like a mile far further than that.
I think you should just move on. I think you should just move on and move to the next thing. Forget the Veilguard existed and make another Dragon Age game. It is a matter of fact, what you could do is make, there's so many good ideas. There's so many. As a matter of fact, you can go, no, that's not a good idea. Anything involving Solus, I kinda, as much as Solus needs to be dealt with better, I think that we should do something else, because I think we should touch back with the whole Solus thing and the Dreadwolf again, but not right away. I think we need to expand. I think they should make another Dragon Age that expands on elves and expands on dwarves and Ferelden and even what's it called? Expand on not Terraviso, but that other magical place, that magical technical place. They should expand on those places. A lot of places that we've forgotten or that were pulled away since Origins is a standalone now. We should focus deep on the lore, make it a prequel instead of a sequel, and focus on those things and enrich those stories. Bring back people to the lore. If you bring back people to the lore and the CRPG combat, basically if you build it, they will come. MrHardcoreMode, why do you want to expand on dwarves though? I'm gonna time you out. Time you out for 60 seconds. I'm gonna time you out. Wait, I didn't ban her. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm not expanding like he was making a dick joke. Did I time out or did I ban him? I don't know. Whatever. I did not ban him. No. I was gonna do a timeout for 60 seconds. I was gonna time out for 60 seconds. Okay, I don't think he's banned. I don't think he's banned. No. No, okay. I was making a joke. I was like, he's like, why do you want to expand on dwarves? And I'm like, he's talking about my dick, isn't he? And then I was like, I'm gonna time you out for 60 seconds. And then we were gonna laugh about it, and then I think I accidentally banned on him. Let me know, Shamer.
But like, Why wasn't that like a hard press? Was it
I
just
unbanned
not like an urgent thing? Because I feel like as a fan, you know, when we walked away from Andromeda, we walked away from Anthem, I think a lot of people forgot what Bioware did so well. And then Legendary Edition for Mass Effect comes around, and there was that first time in a while it was like positivity, optimism around Bioware and their games. And I was like, oh, I think people kind of forgot. And so I wondered if Dragon Age Legendary Edition would be the next obvious step. So was there a reason why that wasn't pressed any harder internally?
EA's historically been, and I don't really know why, but they've even said
the fall of the houses in Orzammar would be interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. The reason why I say this is because we touched up on the dwarves a lot. I think we touched up on dwarven lore a lot more than we touched up on elven lore in Origins. I mean, we could say that there was more elven lore in the other games, but I think we should expand more on the human, the Templar, all that sort of aspect. We should go back to basics is what I'm saying.
This publicly, they're kind of against.
Yeah, Shamer's gonna hate me, I know.
Against remasters. I don't really know why. It's strange for a publicly traded company to basically seem to be against free money, but they seem to be against it. So, but that's part of it. The other problem is that Dragon Age is harder than Mass Effect to do, and to some degree unknowably harder. Maybe only a little bit harder. Maybe a lot harder. I mean,
where are you trying to go? What? Give us an answer. Is it hard or not? What level of hard? Okay, I get it. It's difficult, but
I mean, we had various.
See the indecision making that I'm seeing with the development team.
Like one of the very earliest things for, I guess Joplin. I think it was Joplin. Was like let's do a version. Let's do Frostbite tools. So let's make, and then let's find a mod house that seems talented and just uplift them and pay them to do a remake of Dragon Age Origins. Like there were lots of pitches around is there a way we can bring Dragon Age Origins forward? And depending on what you do, like a remake,
like Virtuoso,
you kind of get Dragon Age 2 for free. A remake, you don't. So
Gotcha.
Well, at least that's a good thought to have it for free.
That's so tough to hear because I'm like, it's great to know at least Bioware proper knew that's what a lot of people were really looking for. It's a shame that it seems like.
Well, we don't have to make the game for free. You can do a remake for all three of those games. Just reduce the price. Stop doing, and I get that they don't have the power to control the prices. But you need to, this is why you have to have conversations with your team. You need to realize, hey, we need to make sure that the prices on a legendary edition of Dragon Age for 3 games, that thing needs to be $60. Now I know this sounds crazy, but it does. We're gonna have all 3 games of those in a remake in one game for $60. That's a big bang for their buck. We would like to do that. Because I think it'll bring people back and it will actually alleviate a lot of people's, there's a lot of apathy right now. A lot of people are going like, no more Bioware. So we need to bring that back. You need to have conversations with EA and be like, hey, we need to make deals. We're going to make this $60. Let us do it.
EA was sort of serving as a blocker with what they seek in their portfolio.
And
they already did that with Mass Effect. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. How much is that shit? Where you at? There you are. It's literally $60 for the Legendary Edition. But right now, by the way, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is for $6 right now. There's a big sale going on right now. Legendary Edition of Mass Effect for $6. Get it now. Titanfall 2 is on sale too. But that's what I mean, man. You can do that. $6 for Legendary Edition. Nice.
I mean, the studios run their financials within themselves. So, I mean, I think to some degree, EA's stance was probably, sure, go ahead and do it, but do it with the money you already have. And it's like, well, we can't do it with the money that we already have.
Picked it up on your Steam Deck? Nice.
Yeah, one of the advantages that Mass Effect has for a remaster over Dragon Age, well, I mean, a bunch of advantages. One, it's all Unreal instead of 2 different engines. But actually, just the fact that it's Unreal means that you can remaster Mass Effect essentially for money. If you're willing to spend money on it, you can go to an external house and they can do most of the work, which is sort of what
that's what they did with
Legendary Edition. There were a bunch of people at Bioware working on it, but it was, well, I don't remember how many, but it was not a ton. Whereas if you're going to do Mass Effect, you basically have to do it. You either have to spin up a brand new team,
like the whole thing with Oblivion,
really
with Virtuoso
tech base, or you got to do it all in house. And that's harder because
gets back to a bit of the resource war that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, like EA doesn't like spending money, but the thing that EA likes even less than spending money is hiring people permanently. Because
sorry, I mean...
that was a good one. That was kind of sad, but that's a good one. Hiring, damn. They like to throw people away, just like any other place, any other game industry.
I mean, it's all public companies, right?
Yeah.
Is like because money is money. It's like, okay, we spent $10 million to do this.
This is why I say, man, smaller fucking studios, bro. There's only 10 people working on that Fate Keeper game. None of them are gonna leave. This is what I'm talking about, man.
It's a one-time thing, and that's it. We spent it, and we got 20 million back. Good spend. If I hire a person, that person's now a person I have to pay for forever. And EA knows that laying people off makes them look bad.
But they do it anyway. Matt's about to laugh.
And so, like, they don't want to do that if they don't have to. So they really don't like hiring people if they can avoid it. They'll do it, of course. I mean, they're a big company. But you can't really remaster Dragon Age externally. You have to probably do it internally.
It's best just to move on. Just move on. Make new stories.
Interesting. That bigger.
And make new stories and don't bring, you can mention older characters from previous games, but don't bring them in the fucking new Dragon Age game. The reason being is because most of the fucking like for example, like some of the people that worked on Veilguard, some of them are fucking annoying, and they're just like, why doesn't anybody like Veilguard? I used to work on Veilguard. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't work there anymore. Oh, I am never going to hire you again. Morgan, cool thing about the woman that plays, voices Morgan, she's in and then she's out. Nothing else. A lot of the actually the voice actors and stuff, they're in and then they're out. That's it. But some of them are fucking weird. Don't bring them back.
Your lift. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting insight there. All right, let's look a bit at Anthem here, because right now there's the whole Stop Killing Games initiative that's ongoing. I know you spoke about that a little bit. I watched your video on it, so we can get into that a bit. But with Anthem now, it's officially servers are being shut down. Even as someone who wasn't like a huge fan of Anthem, I do find myself always concerned with the games industry's ability to do away with
he's gonna talk about Stop Killing Games,
any form of art, the best of it, the missteps, the licensed games. And
I think that was one thing I liked about Anthem was the fucking flying.
I try not to live in a fully idealistic world, of like, man, we gotta keep everything. Like, I get some of it goes, but I feel like it's an important part of BioWare's history. And so how do you wrestle with knowing something you spent a lot of time on goes away forever? No one can pick that up and touch it. They can sure go on YouTube.
This chick, oh my god. This chick right here in front of the screen, I just had a fucking flashback I just had a fucking huge ass flashback. And I was just like, this bitch was fucking weird. She was fucking weird. Okay? Kinda cute, but fucking weird. I was like, get this woman out of here.
YouTube and watch it, but I don't know. There's something that feels, and maybe it's because I've been working on my own stuff where I think about that idea of like, oh, it's just gone forever. It's just a piece of software. You delete it, goodbye. It just
Kendra, thank you for the follow.
when I think about this stuff. So how do you feel as someone who is working on this project?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to happen eventually. To be frank, I'm surprised it made it this long. I was always, I needed to capture footage because I
didn't know that, Soulblade.
Video on Anthem, and it's hilarious that I did my first stream of it, and then the next day they announced.
I thought you knew.
I did not know.
Yeah,
I totally caught me by surprise. So much funny. So that I was like, did they forget that Anthem existed? And I reminded them of, which of course is not true because they would have been working on that language for months before. So it was totally coincidence.
That's amazing.
But so I always knew it was going to go away eventually. And like I talk about in the video on it, Anthem could have been built in a way that where this wouldn't be necessary. Now, there are things that Bioware basically, like, Destiny has very sophisticated bits of technology for...
I wish I could ask questions to Kendra. We're asking easy questions. We're asking easy questions. What this should have been is Mark Darrah coming over to interview, and then it becomes a crucifixion. It's like, you wanted me here to interview, and then we close the door behind him. It's all dark, and then it's just a panel of people. It's the council of nerds, the council of Dragon Age fans, all sitting in like their council chairs, and he's in the middle, and the light is only shone on Mark Darrah. So, Mark Darrah, you said that Veilguard is the best Dragon Age game of all time, compared to all of them, correct? That was you, correct? I wish.
Post-migration.
He wouldn't do that.
And because it's Destiny's peer-to-peer. And we didn't know how to do that. And we frankly couldn't afford to do that. But we could have done something. But it would have been an uglier game, probably would have had more latency issues. Like, it would have been...
Somebody in chat says a good lore question, like he says, did you kill a Win off only because she's literally fixed everything in Inquisition? Be your advisor and become divine? Or were they too scared to shed to know Solus wasn't Solus? I know you can ask those questions, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think Mark Darrah remembers most of the story, or the most of the lore, or the narrative of Dragon Age. I think we literally just saw him forget the name of the main character in Dragon Age 2. Your character. It's supposed to be Hawk with an E at the end. He didn't know. It just happened. I don't think he'll know.
A worse experience second to second in order to get something that basically wouldn't need to ever be sunset. I think we all need to think about, is that the world we want? And kind of, I think maybe it is, that we want to be in a world where we're willing to sacrifice some fidelity, sacrifice some things in order to get it so that games don't just vanish one day. I do believe in game preservation, and we're losing a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
Things are disappearing. I mean, people won't even. I mean, forget Anthem, which was at least out for almost 7 years by the time it'll go down. I mean, almost 7 years. I mean, like, I like, what about Concord? Like, I mean, there's
2 weeks.
Interesting there's something interesting from a science perspective of being able to play Concord and go, what happened here? But you're not gonna. It's gone. It's gone forever.
Yeah, like I try to always define game developers as like scientists, and I feel like it's obviously for a lot of players, they're like, they'll hear Concord and they'll be like, who gives a shit? And I'm like, well, yeah. I get that from the player angle, but like for those who are learning or studying, like having that product available to pick it up and be like, in the case of Concord, like a lot of people point to the character design. It's like you look at those characters and maybe they're aspiring character artists who look at that and go like, okay, let's see what went wrong here. What doesn't, like, you know,
why
I
are these too generic?
Yeah, and I think just
here's my take on Concord. It should have been sunsetted. It should have been like, it's like, hey, we're not going to work on any updates, but you paid for the game, so we're going to leave the game, and if you want to get a refund, you can get a refund. Like, obviously, not many people are going to play the game. They'll probably play the game for a joke, but hey, it should be a moment where it's just like, well, we gave you the game. This is why the gaming industry, this is why the game industry is falling, because of shareholders. It is falling because of shareholders and publishers sucking the big, massive cock of shareholders. And they said to themselves, well, what's the best way to make sure that they continuously give us money? How do we create a monopoly on the player? Well, that's easy. They don't own their games. We can literally deliver them a game that's not finished, patch it up, they'll still play it, and we'll add microtransactions to it. And then we could literally shut the studio down after 15 years and then be like, oh, well, this thing is gone now, but hey, we got the next game, Concord 2. You know what I'm saying? They've literally fucked. We've already figured out what we could do for gamers. And then the gaming industry fucked it up for everybody. We already had the plan.
I always say, like, playing is believing. Like, there's something different between just Google searching something versus putting your hands on it, messing around with it, hearing it, you know, everything coming together, because it's not ever just one facet
trans robot
that makes something bad.
Yeah, so all my feeling on Stop Killing Games is that, like, let's acknowledge that there are consequences to basically mandating that things not go away for forever, but maybe those are consequences that we want to pay. Like, that we want to accept. I mean, like I said in the video, like, we don't let chemical companies just flush their toxic waste into the nearest stream. There are consequences to us not letting them do it. It costs them money to not do that. But we decided correctly as a society that that's a cost that we're willing to make them pay.
He's right. We literally made this whole idea where it's like the whole idea, like right now with cars, where they just said, like, hey, when you get a car, you get a car, and then out of nowhere they were just like, well, how about we just make them pay for the car forever? How about that? How about we make a subscription service for cars? And now they're just like, well, how about we make them pay monthly for different parts of the car? Like right now they're thinking about it right now. It's fucking disgusting.
And there is a line here somewhere where we're saying, yeah, you know what? We do want you to have to, well, at the very least, disclose something. Like, like I said, like, I feel like, I don't know, because there's a bunch of different, there's games preservation, there's the educational part of it, and then there's customer rights protections, and they're all different. They all have slightly different answers, I feel. If I told you, when you bought Anthem, if it said on the box, the servers will go down no earlier than January 10th, 2026, I mean, people would have probably said, wow, the servers are going to be up for almost 7 years? That's amazing. And it's like, okay, so then it's like, that's more information than you've been getting in the past. That's good from a customer rights perspective. It doesn't solve the preservation or the educational side of it. So I don't know. So my feeling at the end of the day is we probably need something, and I just don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, I saw a good theory on a game developer Reddit thread, and they said that changing some of the verbiage around the purchasing might help. Like you mentioned the servers, but also just like if I say we'll use Anthem, like it's a live service game,
right?
Subscribe or something along those lines.
I do think that yeah, the industry you can't, I think we're gonna lose that, what we're doing right now, which is we tell you that you buy a game, but then you read the EULA and you clearly aren't. It's like, okay, pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those EULAs were saying like, well, yeah, we could terminate your game out of fucking nowhere. I don't think the idea that the wording should change and that should be that's not good enough. It's just not good enough for like video game preservation. And secondly, they're not going to do that. How would you feel if you saw the front of the box of the game, and then you're like, oh man, this game looks good, and in the back of the box it says this game's only going to last for 15 years, and we might like literally let it go, and then that's going to be it. But hey, we got microtransactions. They're not going to do that. Then the whole highlighting the EULA and saying like, oh man, but we told you it's not working. There needs to be regulation and we need it now. Of course, we don't want the government involved, but sometimes the government is needed for involvement because the corporations went too much into the game industry, and now this is what we got. This is what we got. Everybody's feeling it. They just said, oh shit, well, we literally have the gamers by the fucking gonads. We can do whatever we want. We could change the rules. And this is like the whole thing with I strongly feel like Nintendo sending people to Nintendo sending people to prison. I think some of those people didn't fucking deserve that shit. You're a gaming fucking company. What the fuck are you doing? It's like if somebody is out there doing nefarious things with your game, that is not your problem. That is literally the only people that should be involved are the police. This is not a matter of, oh shit, well, I need to send out my Nintendo my Nintendo army and find this guy and put him in the gulag. And I'm like, no, I get it, Nintendo has a lot of money, but I swear, like the whole thing with Power World and shit, I'm like, bro, what the fuck, bro? You got a patent for mounting animals? You got a patent for getting on animals, for getting on top of animals and riding the animals. That is so far-reaching.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone is picking a different thing, but I suspect that, unfortunately, that if we force the big publishers to pick one, they're just going to pick license.
Yeah.
And it's just going to say, yeah, you don't, and it's like you license everything, including the single player things, and then maybe it's worse.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I have Veilguard questions, but I want to just stick with this for a little bit here.
No, I want the Veilguard questions.
Because the industry is at what I would call like a major crossroads, funding, game sales,
we got Veilguard
consolidation, questions. AI, game prices, a lot of hot button topics. And I want to know what you think about the current economy for games, right? You've been part of this since '98. You've seen the ups, the downs. Are you feeling concerns?
Exactly.
Like others? Or I've seen some argue like it's regulating a bit. I've seen others saying platform holders such as Xbox are doing a bit of, say, chasing for that, that next like Fortnite. They're all looking for those. I call them the black hole games, the sinister sticks. Yeah. Like they just grab these like one game and it just absorbs millions and millions each month. There's also the indie side, which I call them a bit of unicorn hunters right now. A lot of them are just looking for their next Balatro. Like I spent this much and I got that much. So where do you kind of fall when it comes to the general economy of games, seeing it grow and change so much?
I mean, last year it was survive till 25, and this year's definitely put the lie to that, because it's more brutal this year than last year from everything that I can see. Last year it seemed like in the insides of the business part of it, it seemed like you were starting to see the beginnings of we're bouncing off the bottom. So you were seeing the small money, like the people that invest in the very early starts of projects and studios and that, starting to come out of the shadows again. But then this year seems shakier than ever. I mean, the reason why we have live service, so many live services, is because a successful live service, a Fortnite, makes all the money. And
there are people that are opportunists and they can't help themselves. They see the Fortnite money and then there's too many developers that are not gamers. That's what I'm trying to say. There's too many developers that are not gamers. There are too many opportunists. There are too many people chasing the dollar than there are actual artists, and it's hard to tell well, it's not that hard, but it's hard to tell between the two a little bit.
Microsoft and EA.
Ignore me doing this, okay? If you clip that shit, I'll fucking kill you.
And Ubisoft and Sony and all these companies would be perfectly happy. In fact, they would be more happy if they each had 5 live services that made
they would
all the money and no other games. But we don't want that. I don't think anyone who plays games really wants the industry to look like that. But from a business perspective, that'd be awesome. You know that you're going to have 5 games that you don't have to worry about 5 games at your publishing organization, and then one will start to slowly decline, and then you go and you start the hunt for the one that's going to replace it as it eventually does. I don't want the industry to look like that. And I kind of feel like maybe people are starting to signal with their wallets that they don't want it to look like that.
Yep.
I think Clair Obscura in a lot of ways is a strong signal because it's a game made pretty cheaply with good but not over good visuals.
Over good.
And people are like, I mean, it didn't sell 15 million copies, but it sold great. I mean, I guess we'll see. Maybe, you know what?
You never know, right? Until the publisher speaks.
Every time I talk, as I'm talking, I can just see like the GTA 6 logo like rising out of this fog in the back of my mind. I think that's going to be what decides. Honestly, ask me again after GTA 6 ships. Because
it's so rapidly evolving, right? It's tough to say. It's tough to say.
If GTA 6 doesn't sell 70, 80 million copies or whatever GTA 5 sold, then that's gonna signal something. But if it's basically, if it's the most successful launch of all time,
I think it's gonna sell. There's a whole lot of ass on the GTA 6 trailers, and I don't know. We'll see. Also, with the censorship that's been happening, I'd like to see it. Also, the censorship is not working. Look at this old man, I mean, in his thong. I mean, you see that? There's no censorship for that. Also, we got ladies with fat asses everywhere. It's not the censorship is not working on GTA 6. I mean, the game's pretty much, I don't think it's done, but the censorship for GTA 6 is not going to happen. Those ladies are, it's not going to work.
We'll see.
Get ready for more.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing, I don't know. Are we seeing? Is this the last console? Is this the peak console? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not Michael Pachter, but he might be right.
Sure. We talked a little bit at the very start of this of your experience with the Sonic team. You loved a small team, getting to know everyone.
Go back to Veilguard.
I've argued, and it's more like armchair game deving, to be completely honest, but I've argued that I feel that is a lot of this industry's future. A lot of these, it seems, veteran developers continue to flee from these big studios, these prominent names, to go start their own adventures because they want to have that control back. They want to know their team. They want to have that bond, that kinship. Do you see that maybe being the future as well? I mean, again, you used Expedition as an example, and while they outsourced a lot of their work, as any company does, it's a 30-ish person team that's kind of like their building the framework, if you will, of what Expedition is, ideating and everything like that. Do you view that as a potential future for the industry? Because the problem I have is I'm like, well, yeah, this game makes money. And I think for me, I would not sit here and be upset if anything I saw and made or someone else made, 3 million copies. I would never scoff at that, but there are publishers that do.
No, it's not publishers, it's shareholders. And the publishers will just mimic what they think the shareholders want. It's not too much the publishers, even though it is, especially you, Matt Booty, or Phil Spencer. It's mostly you need to realize most of the talking PR points that the publishers or the developers are speaking, they are actually not talking to the gamer, they're talking to the shareholders. They don't want to upset the shareholders. They want the biggest return on money that's money's ever bought. They like it when the green arrow goes up. If there is a gray line or a red arrow, they lose their fucking mind. But all these companies are still rushing to fix what they've done because of COVID, that fucking fake ass bullshit. Because they are rushing for that bullshit because they made a lot of money on COVID and they're still thinking, well, we could still make COVID money. No, nigga, you're not gonna make COVID money again. And here's where we're at now.
I always wonder the difference between like greed and also just like how much is enough. So what do you make of all of that?
Yeah, I mean, line must go up. If you're a publicly traded company,
there we go.
I think that some of the ills of the industry are the fact that so many of the major publishers are publicly traded, and the line has to go up.
There it is.
And and line has to go up quarter to quarter even. And this is dev times have gotten longer, and that makes it harder.
That's one thing that I think is I think GTA right now, I think GTA 6 will stagnate a little bit from GTA 5, but I think it will still succeed. I think it will definitely succeed, but I have a faint feeling that it will be stagnant a little bit. I know there was billions of people looking at GTA 6, but a part of, depending on the price, if GTA 6 comes out at $100, it will not beat what GTA 5 had. I strongly believe that. Clip me right now. If it's $100, I think it's probably gonna be 80. I swear if GTA 6 is fucking $70 or $60, bro, if they put it on $60, I will fucking laugh my ass off. But it's not gonna happen. But basically, what I'm saying is, God, what am I saying? God damn. All I'm saying is that I'm so curious on it's not the amount of people playing, it's the price of GTA 6.
3 million, yeah. I mean, if I made something with 30 people and sold 3 million copies, I'd be ecstatic. But I mean, that's $100-ish million. EA talked about having billion-dollar franchises back in 2015. They were talking about that.
Jeez,
so the problem is, if you go and you want to have $100 million franchises, you need 10 times as many to have the same amount of revenue. And there are good.
I strongly believe video games will not reach that much, where you can make a franchise that big. It's very, very rare to make it that big. The best way to make. The only reason that GTA 6 is that big is because of two things. It is made for men, and it's fucking brutal. GTA is like South Park. GTA is like boys hanging out and they're having that Xbox 360 talk. You have to, if you keep that gritty core of what GTA is, you will have a successful GTA. Now, if you start to do this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, you can't really run your car in through a pride parade, or you can't really have sex with prostitutes because you're a married man, or you know, you can't start, you know, there's going to be, if there's restrictions, you will see less people playing your game. GTA is known for its gritty, gridlock, wired sort of disgusting sort of things that women hate is in GTA. So if it's something where it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe you would do that in this game, that's why men play video games. That's why people scatter to fucking, it's gritty. It's just every boy's like dream to be that kind of like lewd or like fucking brutal, or just, you know, blowing up fucking trucks with an RPG and all that sort of crazy stuff. If you take some of that away, they'll notice.
Arguments for actually maybe that's better, maybe that's more, and actually EA back in 2009, 2010 kind of looked more like that. They had a lot more games, but they're a lot less shaky, right? If you ship 3 games a year and one of those games stumbles, that's a third of your revenue. If you ship 30 games a year, then like if 5 of them stumble, it's less. That's so like it's there's something to be said for that. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of,
this is why video games, they make them very safe.
Studios started by people who left AAA companies, Bioware, but others as well, who got investment, big investment, and then this year, late last year, they're gone. Their money went away. But I think that Clair Obscur, again, maybe is the way, because they had external investment. I can't remember from who, but I think it was less. They were less dependent on that, so maybe that's the promise. I mean, yeah. Or maybe it's just like, maybe we'll just have a rebuilding period. Maybe it'll be really long, and maybe we'll get like a bunch of indie people who over the next 5 years grow into AA, and then that's what will form the next AAA.
It will.
Yeah, interesting. Because like in my experience with game pitching, I've found that a lot of the, you know, by the way, I've only strictly pitched to indie publishers, but a lot of it's equally like, I think what happens is the top level things with AAA have deceived a lot of people. That I think what folks don't realize is, even though these indies are making a lot of money, it's equally tight down there. I mean, as I kind of described earlier, I use Balatro as an example, like a game that is fantastic, but a game that likely wasn't very expensive as one developer, and it goes on to sell 4 or 5 million copies at $15 a pop. Like, you know, that's what all these indie publishers I found just continue to hunt for, is like our Balatro.
This is why they're called, I would call these developers the pretty much the golden era of video games, because like AAA industries, what they like to do is like what Mark Darrah just said. They don't like keeping people. They don't like keeping people on payroll. That's fucking scary, and that fucking sucks. However, there are people that have skin in the game, that love video games, that love gamers, and that they love to play games, that actually know how to code. They know how to, use certain engines, and this is what we got right now. It's the new age.
They don't want to take any risks, and I always worry about it, you know.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing that he brings up. We have more risk takers that will be out here, kind of like Expedition 33, Balatro, even Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon, even the people from Mundfish.
A risk-averse industry, and sort of what that means, because then me as a developer, like, we're not making a Balatro style game, but I get that quiet voice in me that sometimes feels incentivized to go chase something smaller, safer, that we can do in a year, and shove off to a publisher that might be like, oh, this isn't high risk. But I'm like, that feels so backwards. That's not how.
No, I get what you're saying, and I do think that's where we're at right now. And I think what we might see is, you know, things that are funded. What I'm starting to maybe see is maybe money coming into the industry from weird places. So, I mean, I'm in Alberta, and there's a lot of oil money floating around in Alberta, and, you know, maybe there are some of those people that are like, okay, well, this can't go on forever. And, you know, so
there's going to be more and more shareholders that are going to leave the gaming industry and be like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And we'll see it soon. And that's actually a good thing, actually. They're going to be like, okay, well, this is trying to get money from gamers. It's not really holding up, and we're making safe games. I'm going to pull out. Stuff like that.
Maybe you start to get a little bit of, now this is not AAA. This is maybe in the early dev indie space. Maybe you start to get a few things happening there. I don't know. It's rough right now.
Yeah, you kind of have to just take your check wherever you can get it at this point, because there's just such little options available and so few willing to take a chance.
And people don't do, and you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, people don't do the math. It's like, okay, so Balatro sold 5 million copies at $15, but I mean, they're only getting basically 10 of that. So like, that's $50 million. That's great, but marketing and like, it's like it goes quick. It goes quick.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting to get a veteran's thoughts on just sort of where we're at when it comes to the economy of gaming. You know, I appreciate the insight on that.
Yeah.
Let's jump a bit into Veilguard.
Finally,
you know, this is a game that's just had a lot of conversation around it. So, just as someone who's been with the franchise since the beginning, and then you, if correct me if I'm wrong, you executive produced on this?
I was executive producer on the Joplin part, and then for like a year on, I guess we'll call it the Morrison part. After Anthem shipped, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, you've seen this thing transform, grow, change, evolve, whatever word you want to throw in there. Did you have any worries when this game was going out into the wild? If there's anything you could have changed?
God, straight away.
You know, given how things have gone, would you have changed anything at all, or do you kind of find a valuable lesson learned in all of it?
Yeah, I mean, Veilguard is 4 games stitched together, and you can really see the stitching. Probably the best thing that could have happened, well, assuming that you know, EA was going to prioritize Anthem over Dragon Age, which I think I don't think there's a universe in which that doesn't happen. Assuming that happens.
Wait.
EA was going to prioritize. Best thing that could have happened. Well, assuming that you know, EA was going to prioritize Anthem over Dragon Age, which I think I don't think there's a universe in which that doesn't happen. Assuming that happens, probably the one single act that would have made a massive difference to Veilguard would have been to shut the project down completely when I moved on to Anthem. Because it's carrying a lot of the weight of being that live service game in that period, like running without an executive producer, and it's just like it picked up
I'll give it to him. He's right. Shut the whole project down. Like, he must have saw the writing on the wall. Should have done that shit. He saw the writing on the... Just fucking lied on the fucking Game Informer thing. But anyway, the fact that he was like... He saw the writing on the wall right around Andromeda, where he was just like, yeah, shut the whole thing down. Yeah.
A lot of stuff that is still in there. It's still part of the end result of the game, in part because it was always essentially a year and a half away from ship. From that moment on, it was always in this constant state of being too close to its ship date to really completely retool. When the Mass Effect people came on to Veilguard, they stopped completely. Like, they was like, yeah, we're gonna be on Dragon Age, and we're not gonna let this zombie project continue on its own without its leadership. We will only work as much on Mass Effect as the executive producer can pay attention to. And you know, that's what we should. That's the one thing that absolutely would have made a massive difference. Now, there's a non-zero chance that Anthem ships and we go to try to start the Dragon Age up from a cold start, and EA goes, no, we don't want it anymore. So
that's survival again.
Yeah. So maybe you don't get a Dragon Age. Maybe you don't get a Dragon Age 4 at all.
No.
In that world, but you're not carrying that baggage in that case.
The project would have stood a better chance to be its own thing rather than inheriting so many different ideas from people who may not even been there anymore.
Much of, I mean, there's not a lot of Joplin in Veilguard, but there's a lot of Morrison in Veilguard. In like art style, tone. I mean, a lot of that is multiplayer, live service stuff, and it was like worked away. It was worked on, but that was the base.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of those moves were like fucking. A lot of those moves were very live servicey, and they looked fucking corny. You remember that time that you could swing a fucking hammer around, a big comical hammer around, and swing it around? I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Are you able to speak to the tone a little bit? Because I know that was in Schreier's report a bit, but as someone who, again, been there since the start of this franchise, you look at Origins and you look at Veilguard, and I think it's fair to say kind of night and day in most instances. I do think of one part of Veilguard, which was like a conversation you had with Morgan toward the end of the game, where I was like, oh, this is like exactly what I think Dragon Age is. How do you feel about the tone of the game and sort of how it's changed dramatically since the original?
One thing to remember with, like, if you think about the example I use is the Thor movies. So Dark World came out right around Inquisition. I think it's before Inquisition, and people are like, ugh. And then Ragnarok came out in when did it come out? But it came out like early in Dragon Age 4's development. And so that was like the height of the sort of like love with this brighter, quippier sort of tonal landscape from traditionally very dark IPs.
It should have stayed right there. That was the tradition, to stay dark. You could have had the fun moments. You knew it. You even said that was the traditional part. Do not tell me, oh, well, each Dragon Age has its own little razzmatazz.
But we got a lot of years to go. And by the time, I mean, if you continue down Thor, Love and Thunder comes out before.
Yeah, people didn't like Love and Thunder. Yeah, you remember that?
For Veilguard ships as well, and that's basically. I mean, if we pretty much can use Thor as plotting the we love this to we hate this with a burning passion. So the game was in development for so long that that like,
overcooked.
It basically it's kind of almost out of place in time in terms of its tone.
Sure.
Good. He said it. Thor Ragnarok sucked. It did suck. Although I did like Hela, the way she looked. I know she's old. I'd hit that shit.
Alternatively, this is something that's been bubbling in my head. Is
sure.
Alternatively, there's a game missing in between the two of them.
No, there's no game missing in between. Well, I see what you're saying. But there's a game missing in between them. Oh, really? Is that the good part? Because the second part fucking sucks. Okay? This Veilguard fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's
the other possibility, is that there's a game, Joplin, that slots in between Anthem or Inquisition and Veilguard and bridges the gap. Maybe that's
he's kind of right in the fact that there's too many gaps in it, but let's be honest. If that first part was so, which the first part probably sounds like the whole entire game. Probably sounds like the fun part. Like there was supposed to be a Dragon Age in between Inquisition and Veilguard. I bet it would be really fucking good. But the Veilguard that we got now really fucking sucks. And do not tell me that was the weakest point of the fucking game. Well, he's kind of right. It is the weakest part. That takes place, you know, that it's part of the narrative. There was so many missing pieces. By the way, you guys fucking destroyed the fucking lore. So let's not do this whole, we're missing a game here. No, you changed all the lore. Everybody sat together with their stupid little fucking shoes on, and they were having tea and crumpets, and they were just like, let's just mention everything on the lore and just tell people that we're changing shit. And I'm just sitting here with all of you guys playing Veilguard, and they were just sitting there changing lore on a whim. You remember that one time that the Grey Wardens met up with a person that decided, you know what, I don't want to be a Grey Warden. She was in the middle of training to become a Grey Warden, but she left like, oh yeah, you can leave being a Grey Warden. Nigga, you can't leave being a Grey Warden. You're in this shit. Everybody knows it. It's like, I'm sorry, you gotta die. That's what they did. She came back and was like, yeah, I could be a Grey Warden. And I'm over here like, nigga, how the fuck did you survive? You're supposed to have a knife in your throat.
That's the other
time to
that's how Grey Wardens is. It's like you gotta drink the blood or you're gonna die.
Assess as well, less baggage from project to project. Yeah, very ideal, but you know, I was just curious to get your thoughts on that. Just given
Matt just eats this shit up like he just eats this fucking answer up like, yeah, that makes sense. I would be like, that's part of the issue. Yeah, that's what I would say. I'd be like, that's part of the issue. Yeah, we're missing something in between. Yeah, but Veilguard still sucks even if there was a game before that.
And the shift there, because Marvel was a big comparison, that Marvel style, right?
It wasn't Marvel on purpose, but it was definitely drawing from that zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And so it was very Marvel-y, and it also was living with the consequences of people not really wanting that anymore.
And
anymore? What do you mean anymore? We didn't want it at all. What the fuck does that even mean? Oh, they don't like this kind of thing. What the hell? That was a thing in the beginning? That's like going up to your girlfriend and that's kind of like going up to your girlfriend and looking at her ass and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then you say, oh, I thought that's what you like. And then she's like, we've never done anal. What the fuck? What do you mean? It's like, we've always liked Origins. We've liked Inquisition. We can say we like Dragon Age, but we always liked that dark tone. To change it to fucking Muppet Time or fucking Sesame Street, nobody came out and said, oh yeah, this is Dragon Age. Fuck out of here.
Did you, just to my question about, worrying, and I know you said like just shutting it down probably would have been the better option, but did you have any concerns about that tone going in? Because I know that first trailer in 2024 in the summer was kind of like the moment of like the switch flipped for a lot of people. I kind of just worried. It's like, no, I just think at the time I was like, I think it's just like a bad trailer. When I played the full game,
Matty doesn't like to read the fucking room. He's too optimistic. He's just like, well, we'll see when we play the game. We'll see what I was saying. It's like, bro, how come we're so easy when we buy a video game? How come these people are so easy to buy a video game that clearly has writing on the wall that it's going to be a bad game, but when it comes to relationships, people are just like, well, I don't like her because she's fucking rude. How come? It's like, oh, well, she's kind of mean to people, but I think she has a heart of gold later on. I mean, I know she just punched me in the eye. How come we know exactly what type of person we want to be around, but we don't know exactly what kind of game we want. We're just like, oh, well, just wait until the game comes out. Just wait until the game comes out.
Oh, it's the whole game. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, I actually really like that trailer.
Okay.
But
fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Get the fuck. What the fuck? What? What the fuck? You serious? You serious? He's serious. He's serious. He was serious, right? He was serious?
it also is accurate, and it is accurate to.
It is, yeah.
So,
yeah.
It is, huh?
That's true.
It kind of, and that trailer was around for a long time in various forms. Like it had been developed. Like it was definitely polished up and made shippable, but it had been around in some form or other for quite a long time. Which again, you know, maybe it was a better trailer in 2020 than it was in 2024. Maybe it was less.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Maybe it fit into the cultural conversation better. 5 years earlier.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a really good point that
probably
I
not.
People consider, and I never, until I started writing something myself, I was like, you kind of have to think about that timeline where when you start writing something, it's usually inspired by a thing that happens now, but you have to remember there's like this 4 or 5 year run where that thing that you feel is very.
We thought that the LGBT plus AI would like this, but we realized that's not what we do anymore. Oh, you know, Borderlands 3 came out, right? Like, people really liked Borderlands 2, and people didn't like Borderlands 3 because the story was shit. But you couldn't read that. You couldn't read that and say like, oh, what's the reason that people didn't like Borderlands? It's like, oh, that's because they're bigots. Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me. I was gonna use my brain to figure out why people don't like Borderlands 3, but since you told me that they're right-wing bigots, got it. Thank you.
Important to be said, might have been even said by someone else or oversaid by someone else by the time it comes around, and then you just feel out of touch. You're like, oh, I know how we got here, and it's like, yeah, it's got to be a little scary, especially with you guys. You've had such long development cycles at Bioware. Yeah.
Well, and this one is, I don't think anyone should be doing 10 years between games.
Sure.
No.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I cover a lot of Bethesda stuff, and that's the problem that I find them to be in right now. I'm like, I don't know. I say it with all the love of my heart because I do like their games a lot, but I'm like, I don't know a world where Elder Scrolls 6 lives up to Skyrim. Like, it's just almost impossible by the time we get there, 15 plus year gap.
Yeah, because we're 14 years now, so
yeah, just unbelievable. Couple more questions for you. Just on the note of working on so many games, I feel like every project comes with its lessons that you learn from it. For you, I mean, again, you ship so much that I wonder how you think about these things when they do go out into the wild. Were there any lessons that you felt you as a creative or producer, like what did you learn from the process of Veilguard going out into the wild and just
what did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, Veilguard's a tough one for me. I don't know that doing what I did, which is leading a project, leaving, and then coming back as a part-time consultant is an experience that I would recommend.
Probably not.
Sure.
It's like you move from driving the car to sitting in the trunk of the car, trying to shout directions through the firewall. So that, I mean, I learned that lesson, I guess.
How could you not? Oh my god, bro. Why don't you guys read between the... There's so many people in Bioware that just eat shit and then they just love it. I'm just like, bro. I'm gonna say right here, Mark Darrah is not a leader, okay? He's not a leader. He's just not. I firmly believe that I could probably lead Bioware at this point, where it's just like, if I was a leader at Bioware, I would make sure that people depending on their skill set, I would put them in certain areas where they need to be. I'm not gonna take the music person and put him as the graphic designer. I'm not gonna have the coder be the guy working, you know, the programmer work on fucking, you know, making sure everybody's getting paid. There's too many moving parts in Bioware and EA that I'm just like, bro, do you guys know that you're running around like chickens with their head cut off? And they're just like, what do you mean? Everything's fine. And then they just run off and blood spewing out of their fucking neck. And I'm like, somebody's gotta say something.
I mean, it did actually solidify. I think.
Blame EA, do it.
Veilguard is not a perfect game, so
no,
like it's got lots of problems.
Sure,
but I think
he admitted it.
Some of its reception could have been mitigated by a more open conversation with the potential player base.
You mean like Larian Studios with the panel of hell and all that shit? No shit. You guys were in your Eiffel Tower thinking that, oh, we don't need help from you guys. We just need you guys to be positive and give us positive feedback all the time. That's what you guys did. You spat in the gamer's face and said like, listen, we know what we're doing. That sounds like Blizzard talk to me. That kind of shit is what drives me insane, because we don't know what the fuck you're doing. You don't want to talk to anybody. Yeah, perfect. It's not even a fair game. It's trash, and he knows it. It is trash. I'm surprised he said it wasn't perfect.
Got you.
Which I've always believed in.
Yeah, of course.
And I just think that anytime you surprise your players, I guess negatively surprise. I guess positive surprises can be good, but any negative surprise is going to end up being way worse.
Yeah.
Than any kind of negative fallout that you would get from coming out with that information earlier.
Of course, because we didn't get any information from your game. We got little snippet leaks that were accidental, and then that's it. That's all we got from you guys for 10 years. And when the game came out, the first thing you brought us, that trailer that you loved so much, you gave us that, and everyone unanimously, you must have been sweating. You must have had swamp butt that day, Mark Darrah. And everybody said, this trailer is ass. Everybody did. Except some people that were just like, listen, guys, listen, understand. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And I'm like, bro, we haven't seen them in 10 years. The last 2 games sucked. Now this is gonna suck. He's like, you're just being a grifter. And I'm over here just like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? I was like, I remember that. I was like, what the fuck is a grifter? What the fuck is that? It's like, I went to somebody else's channel, and he was like so excited for fucking Veilguard, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I asked him a question. I wasn't being a dick, and I wasn't being a dick. I promise you, I wasn't being a dick, and I was just saying, well, I was trying to get into a debate with him. I wasn't saying, So since you're stupid, I bet you like this. No, I was asking him a question that would actually get his brain, his noggin moving. And then he called me a grifter bot. And I'm like, nigga, are you fucking serious? And then the game came out and everybody fucking hated it. And this guy went straight to the next game, Avowed. And he was like, you know what? Veilguard was not that bad, but Avowed is so much better. And I'm like, get this nigga out of my fucking bloodstream. All right? This guy, he can enjoy whatever the hell he wants. I'm not having conversations with him again. He's gonna call me a grifter again for not enjoying something that he likes.
Understandable. On that note, because you mentioned going back part-time and consulting, what pulled you back to the project? I don't know if you've spoken on this before. I might have
money.
Missed it, but what made you leave and you're like, I'm done, and then come back and you're like,
money.
What pulled you back in?
So I mean that's what I do now is I help projects mostly with their process and
yeah, grifter, Nazi, Gooner, etc. and all that stuff. How is it all the people that call you Gooner are the people with fucking anime profiles and shit? I'm like, what the fuck, bro? You got a 9-year-old lowly girl on your fucking picture, bro. Okay.
Getting themselves ready to be the kind of studio or team that can ship a game, because you'd be surprised. Well, maybe you wouldn't be surprised actually, but a lot of teams are really good at starting games and not so good at shipping them. And I'm really good at shipping games. So that's basically what I do. So part of me was like, okay, I'm doing this. Dragon Age just hit alpha. And when they hit alpha in 2022, I was like, okay, they've hit alpha. Maybe I can help them. And I reached out, and they basically said no. And then a couple people left, and then they said, okay, actually yes. So it was fitting into the business that I was already doing, the work I was already doing. But also, I've been the person in charge of the franchise for most of its existence. Sure. So it felt at the time like I wanted to be involved. Looking back, in retrospect, I don't know if that was actually the right call for myself.
Probably not.
But that was my thinking at the time.
Sure. It's your baby at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
On shipping a game, that's a interesting touchstone as well. I like to try to, when people speak in kind of like more game dev terms, I like to try to bring that context to the forefront, because for example, when I watch interviews, like a lot of devs go like, game development's hard, and like I think many of us know and understand that, many have experienced it, but I think a lot of people need the context of like, from your perspective, you're like, how to start a game, but shipping a game, what for you is that process of shipping a game? As in, like, do you come in and you're just drawing the finish lines across all these departments, like, yep, you're good, like, what do you do to help get that game out?
The biggest thing for me is it's very easy for a team to get stuck in the middle, where they're like, I've made a level and now we're just kind of we're shoving content in it, but it's not really looking any better, it's just kind of getting bigger. And so the thing that needs to happen is you need to get something.
You need to stop. That's what he's saying. You have to have a stopping point. You have to be like, okay, this is gonna be this area. Let's try to knock down how much we want to put in this one set area. Okay, so we got about 10 quests in this area, right? We got this many enemies in this area, right? What sort of weather are we having in this area? How many dungeons are in this area? How much XP can they get in this set area? What sort of builds can they do? That sort of thing. What sort of loot can they get? What sort of progression are they going to get within this level? And then, all the funny and cool stuff that we want to do on the side, we'll leave it for later. We need to focus on the game, the main part of the game, the juicy, lore, and the reason for every rock, every stream of water, every tree, the reason for all of this stuff to be here. And then let's start with that. Let's move on with that. And then somebody's gonna be like, can we put this, and this? and then somebody has to go like, I can only put 2 of those things in that area. The rest of the ideas are great. Maybe we'll put it into the game later. Who's next? This. And also, when it comes to putting certain things in the game, I'm only gonna have 2 or 3 people talking to me about putting things into the game. I'm not gonna have fucking Clara from accounting going like, what if we put a little pony in this little house? And I'm like, Clara, stop eating. You're fired. Pick your bags up. You're over there. You're over there. But I have so many ideas. Yeah, let me guess. You want me to have pixies everywhere, and they're following the character, and and those pixies change my gender, and you want me to cut my dick off? No, we're not adding that to the game. We're adding this to the game.
To shippable, like I, as the person in charge of the project, or the team as a whole, would be like, if this went out right now, we'd be like, okay, we're fine with that. And then once you can, even almost agnostic of what that thing is, that can serve as a seed crystal, and then the rest of the game kind of can crystallize around that. But what teams that get stuck in the middle often do is they never want to ever allow that initial crystal to form. So everything is almost done. But if everything is almost done, nothing's actually done. And often the act of finishing something is like, okay, this is...
So you got a whole bunch of people at your job that are just basically doing what everybody does with their games where they don't finish them. Is that what we're saying? We got a whole bunch of incompetent people that are just like, I'm working, we're adding stuff. Aww, but I don't want it to end, guys. I don't want it to end. I know we could close the book on this game, but I don't want it to end. How about we sit on it? And I'm gonna be like, bro, I'll sit on you if you don't finish this game.
Almost done, but we haven't hooked up the final sounds, or this is almost done, but the performance isn't there, or this is almost done.
John Wayne says this guy has got too many gay jazz hands going on. Bro, I saw that and I was like, all right, I guess that's how it goes over there in Canada.
But the balance isn't right, or all of those things, is that what you realize as you start that process is there's a bunch of things that you forgot about, or that are hiding behind that. It's like, oh, right.
Exactly what he's saying. Where it's just like we're losing our fundamental goal with certain parts of the game. Where people are just like, well, let's focus on this now. No, Karen, we're not gonna focus on that. But I want to put it in the game. I'll put you out of a job if you don't come back here and finish this fucking game. We already finished up. I want to do this. I gave you a small section to add something in the game, and that's all you're fucking getting. You're only getting that small little bit of choice in the game, and then that's it. I'm not gonna have you go up here and be like, well, I got more ideas. And I'm gonna be like, well, Karen, you can make your own fucking game.
Need to hook up the final sounds. Oh, now we're blowing memory. Oh, then we need to work on the optimization. And oh, now it turns out we have too many creatures in this combat, so we have to pull out 3 creatures. Now we've thrown the balance out of whack, so now we got to rebalance the entire combat. Oh no, now the level feels
feels empty or something like that. Bro, what is this? This sounds basic. This sounds like basic fixes. I'm sorry, it does feel like basic fixes where I'm just like, okay, you could put this much, you could put this much. How much memory do we have? Okay, all right, we can do this, we can do this. What kind of engine are we working with? Okay, we're working with that kind of engine. We'll put this in. Not too much of that. It's this weird. You're working with way too many new developers, aren't you?
Feels unpopulated because we had to pull out 25% of the creatures, so now we got to put some more props in, and it's like as you start that process, it's not that it's hard, but it's more work than people think it's going to be.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It sounds like y'all motherfuckers are lazy. It sounds like y'all motherfuckers are fucking lazy. No. Hear me out real quick. How is it that, no. Not only lazy, but not smart. Somebody out there should know what exactly you could put into the game. Somebody out there should know what sort of audio we should put in there. How many animals, birds, insects, whatever we're gonna put in the game. But how many quests are we gonna have in this area? Somebody knows this and should be right there. There should be a person right there saying, no, we probably can't put that in the game. No, that will break the game. No, that actually might be a good idea. Save that for later. We could probably add 15 more enemies over here. We can do that. Let me look at my log. Okay, we can add a little bit more. We have a little bit more that we can add in this area. You name it, we'll put it in. No, we can't do that. That one's possible right there. Where is that person? You need to establish a person that is like the Oracle. You see what I'm saying? The Oracle that's like, I know what might happen, like, months later in advance of making an area or the game. You need to have that person that's systematically in the know-how of the engine and the memory and like audio and balances and all that stuff. Where is that guy? Where is he? Where's the guy that's saying yes and no to these certain areas? Bruh. These ain't Eastern developers, I'm saying.
Got it. So they put it off, and then you just kind of have to do it. You just kind of have to start, and someone's got to say at some point. This is why I advocate triage. Triage is basically just the process of looking at the bugs, and in the case of Bioware, bugs means basically everything. Like, I don't like what this hat looks like is a bug, alongside this crashes. But you look at the bugs and you decide when, you know what, the hat's fine. We're just going to ship the hat like that. Like, eventually, every game contains at least one bug. Every game could have one extra piece of content. And at some point, you got to say, nope, no more.
So you kind of have to bring, in my experience, I found like a lot of artists, for example, struggle with perfectionism. Like, they just want to keep going and keep tinkering and keep polishing. You have to serve as like the pair says, like, it's good. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's got to be somebody. That's why.
Hey, Mr. H, you're doing just a rant video tonight? No, I'm gonna play a video game after this. I will. We're gonna play some Neverwinter Nights after this. How's that sound?
Somebody's got to ultimately land the plane, and it's great. You know what? You kind of want your artists to be like, I could make this look better. Just just give me 2 more hours, coach, and I'll make it look better. You kind of almost want that. You don't want them to be like, meh, whatever, good enough.
True.
So Mark Darrah is the person that's trying to land the plane. It sounds like he's the one that's trying to land the plane, and he's trying. It seems to me that that he's just the auditor. You know what I mean? He's just the auditor. He's not really working on the game. He's just the man that's trying to put an envelope on everything.
But someone's got to do it. So if they can't do it, and in some ways you don't necessarily even want them to do it, somebody's got to, and that's got to be you. And you got to say, like, well, not me in the case of Veilguard, but somebody's got to say enough is enough. We're shipping this.
And that kind of requires.
And where's that guy that says, what the fuck is this piece of shit? Where's that guy? Where's that guy? I'm trying to find that guy. I'm looking for the guy that says, throw all this shit away. It seems like he's the guy to put the envelope on everything. You need to find the guy that says, nobody's gonna like this. Nobody's gonna like this. What the hell is this? Cutting your tits off? Shit out of here. I mean, I get it. No, you know what? I'm gonna take this back. I I want people to have freedom of expression to do their own art. I do. But it sucks to have it be at the expense of the gamer, to where they pretend that they're Dragon Age fans. They pretend that they're Dragon Age fans, and then they fuck up like Veilguard does, and then we're left. Some people are just left with $70 or $20 out of their wallet, and they're just like, wait, this is Dragon Age now? Well, now I just lost money. This is great. This is not the Dragon Age that I wanted. I mean, I get it. Freedom of expression, I want that. They can make whatever the hell they want. But the fact that they did not listen to the fans at all, they did not read the room, is probably why he was having trouble with fixing the game or finishing making the game and shipping it off, is because nothing made sense. It made sense in a live service aspect, but everything in Veilguard seemed like a live service, and also nothing made sense. Nothing made sense. And if it made sense, it pissed you off. Because it was lousy. It's like, oh well, at least this game is polished. Cool. The game sucks. I just had to do a mission with a massive Qunari bitch, and she doesn't understand what, the Qunari lifestyle. So we're just gonna make up a new lifestyle for her. Also, she's non-binary, which like everybody was like, yeah, put that in the game, yeah. And I'm like, okay, freedom of expression, and I'm over here just like, well, okay, the consequences of your actions. Freedom of expression, you could put whatever you want in the game, but you're gonna lose a job. And he did get fired, but now he has a new cushion job because, well, since you're trans, we're gonna help you out. Favoritism, yes.
Familiarity of all trades, doesn't it, to kind of know when done is done?
Yeah, you gotta be able to. It's a big act of synthesis. So I did it through mostly through triage, by experiencing the game mostly through the bug list itself. Like, you're almost like hooking yourself up to the bug list like it's the Matrix and absorbing it that way. Other people do it by very actively playing the games themselves. Other people do it through dailies. Like, you're gonna all sit down as a group and we're gonna play through this level all together, and we're gonna basically talk through what is good, what we're changing, and if we don't mention it in the meeting, we're not doing it. All of those things can work, but something's got to happen. Eventually, you got to basically, at some point, you got to take a piece of content and say, unless it crashes, we're done with this thing.
Very interesting.
I think this is why I liked KCD2, because it not only did it perform well on graphic wise, but everything was in its place and everything made sense, and there was always a surprise at the end. There's so much that you can miss in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that just outright amazes me. And the biggest thing that I can congratulate with Warhorse Studios is that they know when to, they know their audience, and they know how much they can push.
Great insight there. I guess on that note then, perfect way to round this out is your channel, a lot of it is built around giving advice to aspiring game developers based on your experience. So if there were 3 things that you could make sure any up and coming game developer could hear, especially nowadays, I feel like people need to hear this stuff, not just because of the tremendous insight you bring, but also I feel like when you're looking at like, oh, there was an article I saw come out from Mobile Gamer. It's like AI tools are replacing jobs at King. It's like, I feel like people need to hear, like, you're still needed also. What would those things, those pieces of advice, if there are 3 that they have to hear this, what would those be?
Number one is finish more things. So one of the very first videos I ever did on my channel was about making more pots, the parable of the pots. So it's just, you get better by making more things. So don't keep noodling on that character level design, whatever. Make another one. Make 10 more. And then if you want to, go back and decide that first one you made is a piece of garbage and throw it out and start again. But don't keep noodling on the first one. You will learn more and get better by making 10 than you will by continuing to work on the first one.
He's right.
The number one thing. That is everyone. I'll
He's
someday just hire a billboard to say that, because that is the number one thing that hurts the game industry.
Yeah, because that he's right, because that does the whole you can become stagnant. You can become, if you're working on one thing but you can't finish it, you have to work on something else to get your mind refreshed. If you keep on getting stuck on one thing, work on something else that you were also working on in that project, and then things will start to formulate later on. But he's right. Like take a day, take 5, and then work on something. That he's right.
If it's not in the, I guess number 2 related, if it's not in the game, it's not real. You gotta integrate it into the game so that you. I just made a video which I haven't even posted yet, which is game dev is a conversation. You're talking with the game itself. So if you need to make something, put it into the game, and then let the game talk back to you to tell you what it needs, where it needs to go from there. If you're just shoving content into the game as fast as you can without pausing to fix bugs, without pausing to look at what you're getting, you're not making a game. You're making a big problem for yourself later when you try to finally make it be a game. And then you're going to have to basically deal with that in reverse if you do that.
Well, damn, you should have said that to the fucking Veilguard developers, because they definitely finished the game. And then what did you do? Like, it's like, you want to put this into Veilguard? This doesn't make sense, but all right. You want me to put this into Veilguard? This doesn't make any sense, but all right. What about the gameplay for Veilguard? Oh, you got literally 2 sentences here. It says, make it simple, and then the second sentence is LOL. That's it. You want to add anything else to the progression of the characters? Do you want to add any sort of, you want to make it back to a CRPG? No? A hack and slash? All right. You're able to proc if certain characters do certain things? How many procs, or how many different types of procs are in this game? 1? There's only 1 type of proc in the game? What if you want to do a different proc? Alright, I think you could add more, but alright, okay, alright. See, this is why, see, I could probably work with Darrah, because he's ready to ship the game. He's not, maybe he's ready to work on the game, but he's basically ready to end the game development. I'm ready to make ideas. I'm ready to make plans. I'm ready to add things to the game that actually, give people a sense, a goal to play the game, to have some fun. They eliminated fun right out the fucking game of Dragon Age, but all right.
On AI, woof. The thing that I'm worried about with AI is this. I guess this is more a message for people who are starting their own studios and thinking about using generative AI. Is the problem that I see we're going to have is that I do think that generative AI is going to be able to replace a lot of junior people pretty soon. Maybe not as good as a junior people, but like replace them kinda. But the problem with that is that in 5 years, after that starts to happen, you're not going to have any seniors, because all the people who are seniors now will leave, and you haven't hired any juniors and turned them into seniors. And if the industry becomes that industry, either the generative AI tools are going to have gotten good enough to replace seniors, which doesn't seem likely to me.
I don't think it's...
Or we're going to be in a real world of hurt as we look around and say...
I don't think it's going to replace everybody. It will replace smaller jobs, but I don't think it's going to replace people in the long run. I get that people will just take something that's just good, and they're like, oh, it's good. And I know it'll take some time for people to adjust liking AI. It'll take a long time, probably not my lifetime, but sooner or later, somebody's gonna like generative AI games. But people, here's the thing with generative AI, you're probably gonna see a lot of the same game. Cause you're gonna, right now people are noticing the same lines from AI, and they're just like, wait, I heard that in a different like AI thing. Like a lot of people are noticing from like certain narrative like AI lines, and a lot of the voice lines for like AI just sounds bad. It just sounds muted. It's getting better. It will get better, but I don't think it's going to take people, people's livelihood in the long run. I think it's gonna still require, depending on the person, I think it still requires like human hands, like always. I think it always will. He's wait, what? Oh, nothing. Gotcha.
Say, well, where's my lead writer at? Where's my art director at? Where's my creative director at, or my lead designer at? And it's like, oh wait, it's just a field of AI tools because everyone else left. I'm really worried about that the industry is going to hollow itself out in the next couple of years. We're seeing it happening. We're seeing juniors start to get replaced
with the NVIDIA and everything
by generative AI tools, and they can't do a bunch of stuff yet, but they can do some stuff, and I don't know. Someone's gonna do it. Like, I'm not saying. I guess I'm not saying someone's gonna do it, so you might as well. But someone's gonna do it, and I don't know that. My feeling is that the general game playing public doesn't care that much if the game.
No, as long as it's a good game that looks, as long as it's a good game, they will like it. However, there's a good portion there's a lot of, listen, like we just had with Expedition 33 and Tainted Grail. Those were made by real people. There's always going to be people out there that make games, and they're people. They're people making that game. There's already generative AI, already happening, but I think there's going to be both, is what I'm saying. There's going to be both. I don't think everybody's gonna just go, everybody's just gonna use generative AI and nobody's going to use man-made, video game, where a game developer is all man-made. I don't think so at all. I know so, but yeah.
Game is made with generative AI. There's definitely a vocal group that cares. I care, but I don't know that. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that someone's gonna make a generative AI game that's like 80% generative art and generative code and it's using ChatGPT to generate dialogue. And the problem is,
I think, Fate Keeper is going big just by 10 developers. Yeah, Fate Keeper looks amazing and it's just 10 developers. I think what Asmongold and what he's saying, they need to give more credit to actual people who actually do want to make good games. Basically, what's happening right now with the AAA industry is they're making too many safe games. They're making too many simple games, where generative AI is trying to make a game that's not only simple, but actually a little bit more fun than your average AAA game. I strongly believe that there are like golden goose children out there that will make video games, such like Warhorse. Warhorse came out of nowhere for me, and they'll just make a game where you're just like, holy shit, there are people that can make this, and this game only costs $60. Okay, like, don't like look at it like, oh, it's only gonna be AI games. I think it's gonna be both. I know it's gonna be both.
That game doesn't have to be a 10 million seller, because if that game gets made for $500,000 and sells 1 million copies, that might be good enough. People might be like, oh, look, I can make, like, that's what I'm really worried about. It's not.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it with the video, but I agree with him on that one. That you know, I get it with AI, but we mostly wanted to focus on Dragon Age, but we get the whole picture. Let me leave the video here with you guys if you want to see it for yourself. Really informative picture of the whole thing. Somebody says, oh boy, here we go. Isn't he the one of the devs that criticized gamers for not liking Veilguard? I think he did. Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, I believe Bioware, my once favorite developer, is truly dead through. Yeah, a lot of people believe that Bioware is dead. Yeah, I don't trust a word of what Mark is saying. Yeah, a lot of people don't trust him. Somebody said $70 doesn't buy you cruelty. That's what Mark Darrah said. And then he finishes it off with, but it didn't get me a good game either. Mark deserves absolutely no respect for telling people they're wrong for not liking Veilguard. Ay. This guy was defending the hyping up of Veilguard every step of the way. Not sure Matty knows what he's getting into having this bozo here. No. I think he should have conversations with any developer that he wants. I wanted this conversation. I wanted it. And he gave good questions too. Yeah, so that's it. That's the video. Good lord. Okay. Alright, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end this stream right here, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to have a late night stream with some Neverwinter Nights. I hope to see you there. I think I'll be back in like a half an hour. I want to get something in me, in my belly. And yeah, we'll continue from there. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. A proper discussion with people you don't agree with is healthy. Yes, exactly, absolutely. I think it's really important. Yeah, it's really important. I appreciate y'all. Shamer, if I accidentally banned you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Let me see. Did I accidentally ban him? I was gonna time him out for like 2 seconds. But somehow the thing was like, yeah, you're banned. And I was like, and I unbanned him too. And I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? What did Shamer do? He made a funny joke and I was gonna time him out for 5 seconds. But I think I accidentally hit the ban button. I think I did the same thing to you, Crake, and I accidentally banned you. And then I brought you back and shit. I was like, I didn't mean that. I hit the time up button. I was gonna play around and be like, I'm gonna time you out for 5 seconds. I was gonna make a joke about it. He was talking about me clapping some dwarven cheeks, and I was gonna playfully, like, you know, I was gonna playfully like rest in peace, Shamer. Yo, if you see him again, could just let him know that's yeah, that checks out. Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Y'all take. Yeah, I'm unbannable. Yeah. See. Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys in a bit. Take care.